Welcome to the Positively Star Wars Senate podcast. This is Obi-Wan Kenobi. May the Force be with you.
Looky, Senator. Decent Jedi arriving.
Let's make this our best show ever.
I will sign no treaty, Senator.
I am the Senate.
This is the way.
Hello, Star Wars fans, and welcome to the latest episode of the Positively Star Wars Senate podcast. This emergency getting together of the Senate is recorded on Sunday, the 17th of September, 2023, using the powerful dyad of the Force, known as Microsoft and Skype. My name is Stephen, the Chancellor of the Senate, the Brickety Brick contingent of this otherwise American crew, as we get together to talk positively about Star Wars for the next hour and so. Before we get going, we have to have some special sponsors for this emergency Senate, otherwise we cannot afford to bring this to you. So let's have a quick word from our sponsors.
Star Wars, Clone Troopers, the Republic's bravest warriors. With a Clone Trooper helmet and blaster, you can lead with real Clone Trooper commands.
Green light, go!
Or give your own orders.
Second squad, attack!
With the Clone Trooper voice changer helmet and blaster, victory is yours. Each sold separately.
Right, excellent. So, whereas I am in the UK, I am joined across the pond in the United States of America with my positive friends. So let's see who we got here this month in random Skype order and what they've been up to in the last 3 weeks since we last convened even. We have Ron. What have you been up to?
Greetings and salutations. What have I been up to? I wanted to say hi to everybody. I've watched Ahsoka. All of the episodes.
All 3 of them.
All 5 of them.
Well, yes, all 3 of them since the last time, yeah.
Well, since the last time, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Excellent. Okay, excellent. Marie.
Good morning. I've been up to, what have I been up to? I've been watching Ahsoka.
Very good. Excellent. I think I know where this is going. Tony.
All Ahsoka, all the time.
All the time, 24/7.
24/7.
Got it on
In
repeat.
rotation.
Yeah, excellent. Ricky.
Hello. I've been watching some damn good Star Wars. That's what I've been doing.
Excellent.
So Andor.
Andor.
Did you watch Ahsoka too?
Yes.
Oh, it started already.
I specifically said Star
Calm
Wars.
down. Calm down. And finally, we have Ryan.
Hello there. Pretty much I've been watching the Balin Skull show the whole time. So that's pretty much it. That's where my focus has been.
Yes.
You've been playing
That's
Cold
a
War
good
too.
show.
So, as just hastily convened, I've come straight from watching Formula One. I haven't got any great questions, but I have just quickly looked
I
up.
thought you could say I haven't seen anything.
I haven't seen anything. Yeah, exactly. Yes, but I have quickly had a look through, trying to find something that I could ask as a question at the start. So, if anybody remembers, in the latest episode, or was it the one just before that one? I can't remember. But Hera ignores the orders of Mothma, goes off to rescue her friends, of course, and she is joined by, this is a little bit ironic, X numbers of X-Wing pilots. So what we're interested in here is how many X-Wing pilots joined Hera in the, she was in the Ghost, wasn't she? Was she in the Ghost or was she in the...
It was a ghost.
It was the Ghost, wasn't it? Yeah. So we've got Hera in the Ghost, and there were X number of X-Wing ships with them. How many were there? Answer at the end of the show. Right. Onwards and upwards, because we have, as I said, emergency convened to get through 3 episodes of Ahsoka to give it the as good time as we can, rather than otherwise we would have had like 5 to, it was only 6 to talk about next time round. And we wouldn't be able to get into the little nooks and crannies of things if we've done that. So we have so it's back on August the 29th, if people can remember, when episode 3 came out, and as a little recap of what happened, thanks to Wikipedia, which aren't our sponsors, we have Ren restarts her training under Ahsoka and Huyang's guidance as she struggles with her inability to use the Force. Syndulla meets with Chancellor Mon Montfort on a Skype call and a group of influential senators in order to gain permission to send Republic forces to Cetos. Despite Mothma's support, the senators refuse to believe that Thrawn and Bridger are alive and deny Synduna's request. Ahsoka, Wen, and Huyang travel to Cetos themselves, where they discover the Eye of Sion, but are intercepted by a squadron of fighters led by Hattie and Marek, as Elspeth uses cannons on the Eye of Sion to fire on them. Just as Huyang finishes scanning the Eye of Sion, Ahsoka's shuttle takes a direct hit, forcing the group to take an emergency landing on the planet, passing through a pod of Purgril along the way to invade the remaining enemy fighters. After taking refuge in the forest, Huyang gives his full analysis of the Eye of Sion, which he classifies as a hyperspace ring designed to travel to another galaxy. However, Hattie soon becomes aware of their attempt to hide, prompting Skull to dispatch his forces into the woods to hunt them down. Dum dum dum. Actually, they left out a good bit there, didn't they, with Ahsoka on the top of the ship with the lightsaber stuff. So that was episode 3, which was entitled Time to Fly.
I just got to say, I'll start off, because it's like this was almost like a filler episode just to kind of move to the 4th type of thing. But I just can't stand when they make the New Republic just look like a bunch of bumbling fools. And it's happened in a lot of shows. And I'm just like, come on. Like, you have a general that was a major rebel alliance fighting Thrawn, and she's like, listen, I want to go look into this. And, one dude is like, I don't believe you. I'm just like, you suck, man. Like, I'm just so mad when they do stuff like that.
Yeah, because I was a little bit, it wasn't really explained, apart from that they didn't believe her, but there wouldn't have been any skin on their chin to go and investigate, surely. So it's just not a bit of even...
It's a writing tactic that's more than Star Wars, where it's like you have to write a reason for the character not to be there, but she goes anyway. But then there's obviously later story that she might be stripped of rank, so it's obviously a bigger story, and you have to write the characters into a box. But man, it's just like
That's kind of been the narrative though of the New Republic, though. Even in like the books, like even in what's that one with Leia?
Princess of
No, not Princess Alderaan. What was the other one? Well, anyway, when they wouldn't let her go on certain missions because she's telling them like, oh, there's a threat out here. They're like, oh, you're crazy. There's nobody rebuilding anything. They did that in the book. So it's like they're really inept. I mean, and we saw the Mandalorian how bad they were. So it's like no wonder they faltered and got destroyed. I'm kind of rooting for First Order at this point.
Ryan posits that it's a bit of a trope, but isn't it an effective tool? It's showing like we get the Empire was so full of themselves and so big of themselves that characters could walk around and do things within, that they were inept. The Empire was inept and didn't think, well, the space station's so big, nobody can hurt. They just had that same sort of thought. And when you see it in the New Republic, to me, it's not so much a storytelling trope. It's showing how something that big gets that way.
Yeah.
That people that never fought in the war or don't have any ties to it are like, oh yeah, no, you're just chasing ghosts. There's nothing out there. There's going on and on, being a bureaucrat, being an inept person, somebody without the experience, trying to dictate to somebody that's telling you what they know, feel from their real experience and some power.
She tells the senator like, so you just waited it out until see who won, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, she called him out for sure. And that's part of a problem with bureaucracy or that to challenge that to put up that I tried to tell you, you wouldn't listen, so I had to go and do it anyway. And while there is something too that we need the character to get to that point and be told no and go do it anyway type of conflict. There is something. I think there's something a little to it, to showing how the New Republic becomes inept and the First Order rises within, and then the First Order becomes inept. It's just a bit of a cycle.
Well, we saw from like Last Jedi, like what DJ was saying, like good guys, bad guys, fake word. Like they're building ships for everybody just because it's profitable. So
I guess
money talks.
Get an Andor too, I guess, because didn't Cyril and the lady, they were like, there's something more going on, and they're like, no, everything's fine. So I guess you point where it is the size of the government that's kind of the problem, and they'll always be for storytelling purposes. It's like, well, we gotta have.
Look at the Jedi Order in Episode 1. Like Qui-Gon, some of the Sith returns, like, yeah, you're crazy, you know. So it's kind of like a running theme. You know?
That's like a hot button issue for me, especially recently, because I can't stand. Again, I'm not gonna go off course here, but a second. But I can't stand when the Jedi are made to look like a bunch of freaking
That
idiots.
was literally what Inquisitor's Rise of the Red Blade was about, right?
No. It was not like I hate all the talk where it's like, well, it's the reason the Jedi failed is because all this. No, the reason they failed is because of Palpatine and the Sith. So sorry, I won't. That
was kind of Lucas's
manipulation. Yeah, he was playing both sides, and he had an inside hand, and we manipulated.
Yeah,
turned it against each other.
Sorry, I just had to say it because I've been seeing it a lot this week, and I get, my fingers started flying. It's just like,
but the third episode of Ahsoka had Sabine return, right?
No, she was in the second one.
Trying to steer back. Well, I'm
the
sorry.
Third one's they were practicing on the table.
Yeah, they're stuck on the table.
The first and second, there wasn't much time, or there wasn't any sort of conflict or any concern that the character was stabbing somebody. Right? She came back in the second one.
Yeah.
This third one is the training of her, right? And I do have seen some posts that right when that floor. They could easily retcon that to some extent, go back and fix the episode and have put a CGI sort of cover over the floor. That when the table rises up, you see this thin piece of, you see something sort of separate in half over top of it, a cover, a protective layer or whatever, so that the table can rise up.
It might though have some sort of natural antibacterial coating on it.
It'd be nice to put a mist spray on it, like a fog shot, just like. Psh, and it's like, okay, that's you're gross, dude. You're like putting your hands all over it.
It is a neat. It was neat. I didn't pick it up. I didn't think of it at first.
Realize it either.
Somebody had once somebody pointed it out, it totally jumps out at you. But yeah, that table rising up was like, oh, that's a cool, clever way for the ship to, get some extra room. A very IKEA kind of way to get maximize the most out of your space. But then as soon as it's pointed out, it's like, oh yeah, right, that's your.
We never see anybody in Star Wars wash their hands either, but we assume they do.
Assume they're very, very clean.
You go to the bathroom, take a shower, any of that you don't see it.
Well, no, exactly. They must be very clean.
Like shower
stuff you don't need to show in the show. I mean, unless it's Andor and they make it into 3 episodes, but
all the button touching. This episode we got Mon Mothma, which is just a super favorite of mine, so I was excited to see it. But I'm
kind of bugged by her hair.
Surprised by her minutia. We're sort of surprised by her. I'm trying to think of where she's at in the timeline, that she's got these other that she's not able to sort of rein them in, or
she's trying to let everyone have a word pretty much. And she gets outvoted. She's like, sorry, as much as I want to support you, it's 6-5 or whatever.
We're trying to be a vote. Yeah. And she did that in. Say again.
Is she in charge of the New Republic then at that point?
Well, that's
she was in the Leia book, but I don't know if she is here yet.
Was she the Chancellor?
I thought at this point she was the leader of the rebellion, but I mean at this point who's the leader of the Republic or the New Republic?
Say in that book she was the leader of the Republic, but they kind of had more of a democratic thing where it wasn't like, okay, you're going to do what I say. It was
calls her Chancellor Mon Mothma, so she.
And to think about it, she's being what she was and who she was, at least in Rogue One, where that's where we learned that the rebels weren't a well-formed thing like we thought for all those years.
Another instance of them not listening to people in Rogue One.
Yeah. They said, we don't want to do this, we just want to do this, and she was like, well, all right, they don't want to do this, so maybe it is not so much out of character for her, but just always a pleasure to see Mon Mothma, the character.
I think the thing is that they're all very hesitant, because every time somebody starts banging the drums, they're war drums.
That's
always their hesitation. It's like, what? We just finished a war. You want to go back to war again? You want to start.
They think
we're just starting to enjoy peace.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And it's like, and here you go again. You want us to go right back into it. And that was true of Rogue One as well. Even though they were under the thumb of the Empire, they were, they had just not too long before, finished the Clone Wars.
Rock the boat.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So
Harold-
the other thing was that what was the sequel trilogy animated series? Was that Resistance? Was that what that's called?
Yep,
Yep.
Resistance.
Yeah, that was the jerky senator in this episode was the father of the main character from that
Yeah.
show.
Well, he
Chancellor.
didn't want his son to join the army either. So
Yeah.
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 Well, that's the one. Hera monologue. I mean, it's a great monologue, but she's the dude he monologues, or he's
Yeah.
the dude she monologues too about. Why are you after Thrawn? Aren't you just after Ezra? She's like, no, I fought Thrawn. He killed friends.
Yes.
She's going
Yes.
on and spells
Yep.
it out as to why Thrawn's dangerous, why Thrawn is a threat, why Thrawn is the bad guy, even though we haven't seen him or seen anything that he's done in the show. She puts it out there that what's wrong with Thrawn, and calls that dude out, and he's, look, I fought in the war, did you? Type of thing, and it's a great monologue, of motivation of the show, of the characters and what's going on, and their concern that. It really helped us to sort of set the tables of where we're at and why they are so concerned with,
That's
or
got
why
me
she
thinking.
is so concerned with her. Sure, she's after Hera too, but she doesn't. She knows.
I know we haven't got to the next 2 episodes yet, but I'm just thinking after what we've seen so far, we've only got 3 episodes, so this is obviously not going to end in a completely wrapped up way, is it? There's no way you're going to have introduce Thrawn and then Thrawn's gone in 3 episodes. That
means we get an Ahsoka series season 2, or
I think it's going to spill into the other stuff, isn't it?
Yeah,
I don't even know when the next Star Wars series is. So it's like, they're going to introduce Thrawn. Like, I kind of expected him to not appear to the end, but then it's like there's not even one on the docket. It's not like, right? Am I forgetting something? There's no one else.
Crew, but who knows if he's in that?
Yeah, I thought we suspected there might be a little blurb or tie of Skeleton Crew to it to do a sort of Marvel big universe, but it's all speculation. So, but yeah,
I'm sure
to
they'll
your
start
point, there isn't
threading
anything on
things
the
through
docket.
everything.
Yeah, little things, even if it's a little niggle of information, a little nugget, a little piece of some tie-in or they have those little pieces that start to tie it all in so that there is some one big movie. But you're right, to your point, there isn't any one great, there isn't this docket. And the strikes and everything else aren't going to be helping us get our stories and get our things out there. I just don't want them to rush anything just because type of deal, whatever. At least all the other stuff can suffer. But
it's drawn. Nothing's rushed.
It's all part of his plan. The strike was, the strike was his plan. But Skeleton Crew is the only thing that's been filmed, isn't it? So
Skeleton Crew, maybe they're in the outer regions where he's at. I don't know. It could be.
Well, if anything, much like Harrison Ford's accident on The Force Awakens gave them time to sort of relook at the script and rewrite it, and I think they keep Poe alive. I think he was originally supposed to perish, and they end up keeping. But anyway, it gives them time. Whatever they do have, not Skeleton Crew, that's in the can, but anything else that they have been speculating or looking at the story, it gives them time to polish it up. Let's say, it gives them time to give it the once over twice and see if there's anything to flesh out a little better here and there. So hopefully in the long run,
we might not get that Max Rebo series.
Well,
Well, that's disappointing.
And it does look like Skeleton Crew takes place during the Mandalorian. I wasn't exactly sure when, so I just looked it up real quick. But yeah, it's in the era of Mandalorian. But again, I don't think that has a real release date, does it?
No, nothing does
with
right
everything
now.
going on. Yeah, with everything going on, probably. Even if it does, I wouldn't put.
Could there be another drought? Oh my god!
Dedication to it.
You won't hear until the strike is over. We're not going to know definite days.
Yeah.
Because
the original was December, and I think they now pushed it to early 2024. But now we have no idea. So it's going to be all High Republic come November, baby. That's what I'm talking about.
I was just
I'm
thinking.
wondering if the Acolyte is going to affect any High Republic stuff, because that's going to be pushed back too.
When is Bad Batch coming back?
Oh yeah, Bad Batch too.
Oh gosh, don't know.
Yeah, that's February, isn't it?
February? Is it February?
That's probably not going to tie too much or have much.
No, I mean
with
it's not
this
gonna
at
tie
all.
in, but I know that's supposed to be coming.
With something to feed us in.
Yeah.
This third episode of Ahsoka, this is where we get Hu Yang saying she ain't that much of a Jedi, right?
Yep.
And where she tries to move the cup. She tries to sit at the dirty table and she tries to force move the cup. It's like, you win this time. It's just
we've all tried that.
Raise your hand if you've ever tried that.
Right? Raise your hand if you haven't. Not a single hand up. It is just.
Doesn't that make you appreciate how easily Anakin moved that fruit in episode 2?
Manipulated, not just moved it. He manipulated it.
Yeah.
Apple, man, yeah.
How about in that scene where she's forced concentrating to try to move the cup? In that moment, first time seeing it, do you think she's going to move it?
I was thinking
Worried.
it might just make a little rattle.
A wiggle. That's
I
where
thought
I
it was
was.
gonna
I
nudge a
thought
little
she might. She's not sliding it to herself, but I thought there might have been just the slightest little something that gives her and us, the viewer, a reason to believe that she while she's low on the scale of Yang's, like, she's got the lowest percent. You're the bottom at the list, basically. You're on the list. This is my big point. Everybody's like, oh, she shouldn't have it. Hugh Yang said so. But I'm like, no, he just says of the list of everybody he knows, she's at the bottom. Somebody has to be at the bottom. Somebody's at the top, somebody's at the middle, and somebody has to be at the bottom, and she's at the bottom. But she has the Force. She just needs to get in tune with it. What do they say? I don't know if it's this episode or no, it's Kanan somewhere, right? She's so Mandalorian. She won't let herself. She's not open to it yet. She hasn't connected with the whatever Force abilities. Anyway,
I was
I'm with Steven.
waiting
I
for a
thought it
little
was gonna
inception nudge at the end, or to leave it ambiguous, but yeah. Nothing.
Magneto with the pieces. That's what I was thinking. But I don't know how I'm gonna feel if she does reveal to be Force sensitive. Like I'm like, I don't want it to happen. You can't just be like, okay, now you're Force sensitive, and it's just like, well, what's going on? But at the same time, there's Finn. There's still canon.
Will you be okay if she's Force sensitive but not uber Force powerful?
She's not going to pull down Star Destroyers or anything like that.
Well, not crazy. That's ridiculous power. I'm just talking, that she'll have Force abilities, but to a limited extent. Would you be okay with that? Coming.
Access to the abilities means that you're relatively strong. I mean, unless it's just like, because I think Leia has always had access to abilities, but it's more of reading people, not doing flips and stuff. So there's still.
Well, I think Ahsoka's. I think Sabine's more. It's just her natural athletic ability is basically in tune with the Force. That's why she's able to, jump around and do all that stuff. But to actually physically manipulate things, like, she can't.
That's the thing.
I think I would have felt better about it if they had sort of shown how we got there. Because, I mean, when last we left off, there was no real indication that she was heading in that direction. And now we cut to...
Right, this is Ahsoka's projecting.
Now we cut to this show, and she has already been training, in the past. She's going to start training again. It's like, where did all this come from?
She did train with Kanan, but now she didn't train in the ways of the Jedi.
Well, she trained really just to use the dark saber, but there was no hint that you're going to become a Jedi. It was just here. This is an important weapon to your people. You're going to wield it, so you should learn how to do it properly.
I suspect, but the namesake of the show that it's going to be Ahsoka that is projecting on her that you have Force, or that you can. Because Yang kind of even says that to her about how you picked her, or no, what's he say? Anyway, I just I think we're going to learn that it's Ahsoka is the one that says the Force is in everybody. Why not you? Let's try to find it or train or hone it. I think that's kind of where I'm.
That's the one thing that to me just kind of seems a little random, and I think I'd be happier about it or pushing for it a little more if I knew why we decided to go that way. I mean, was it right. Sabine?
It kind of was foreshadowed in like the first episode. I mean, we do know that Sabine has these like visions. Perhaps she told Ahsoka like, I'm seeing things. She's like, well, maybe you're into it. Yeah. But I mean, that's probably that's it. That's all she really has.
Yeah, and
you got to think too. Ahsoka got kicked out of the Order, so she's not really too keen on the Jedi anyway. So she's like, well, maybe the way they were doing things was wrong. So maybe everybody can be a Jedi.
Let's democratize the Force.
Yeah.
Right. It speaks to the fact that like everybody has the Force within them. Everybody has like latent abilities to do things. Like, I mean, for me, I'm not athletic or coordinated in the least. I can throw a ball, I can catch a ball, but I couldn't play a game of, say, baseball or anything like that. On the other hand, I can pick up pieces by ear on the piano. And I sing pretty well. Things like that. Like I can't draw anything but stick figures. I mean, I couldn't say that like I can draw like a beautiful picture of something or someone, but I can draw like stick figures and make my drawing understood. It's kind of like that. Like everybody has
Yeah. Yeah,
some
everybody
ability
has
to access
something.
and
I
use the
don't
force.
like that idea though. I
I don't
don't
know
like.
if you guys ever seen Ratatouille, but like they have a thing like anyone can cook, so it's like
Yeah.
anyone can be a Jedi.
So
You know, anyone can
interesting,
use.
Ryan. You think the Force and Force abilities isn't you don't like it because you don't like that idea of some people are in tune with talking to animals, some people are in tune with using it to talk to the Force, some people are used to reading people. You want it to be the same for everyone? What don't you like?
That's not what I said. It was like I like the idea that different, characters have different abilities. I guess except Ahsoka, she gets all the abilities. But like can read things, people can fly good, people can see the future. High Republic shows it really well with battle prowess. In the Legends showed it too. That's in the Bane books. It's battle prowess for the Jedi. So I like the idea that everyone's stronger in different ways, but I'm on the fence about the idea that the entire galaxy, just by like, let me just think about it, suddenly has force ability. Like anybody I get it. The force is in
Well, see,
everybody.
and there's like a contrast between how it is now because there's no more order and how it was during the prequel era because they got to a point where they're like, yeah, everybody might have the Force, but let's do this blood test to see if you're good enough for us to take you. So like there's not that anymore. So now pretty much anyone can have the potential of getting trained. It's just up to who wants to train them. But the order was so like, we only want the best, so let's just not take you. Like you might be good at basketball, but we're not going to draft you because you're not going to be a pro.
Ryan brings
the
up
same
an
thing.
interesting point. We are projecting. Maybe we go through all this, and she doesn't have Force ability. That
I think it might be
Ahsoka
that.
tries really hard, and yeah, the Force is in all living things, but Ahsoka's ends up being wrong effectively. That Sabine can't. That could be an interesting thing to come out of the show. That it's not necessarily something that can, and that would go to what you're speaking to, Ryan, and that it's
Yeah.
not everybody in the universe and trying real hard to think about it. It's not there. That'd be
Yeah,
interesting.
because I feel like the force is in everyone, but I
Yes.
think it mainly manifests itself in the fact that you can calm yourself and center yourself, and it can help you get through difficult situations in your life, but not that it's going to give everybody, superpowers for any
Amazing
given
powers.
thing.
Exactly. I mean,
It's
like
just
the
it's just a
idea.
matter.
It's like the idea in Ratatouille that everybody can cook, but not everybody is going to be Auguste Cousteau. Like anybody,
Exactly.
and it translates to real life as well. Anybody can cook. I can cook, but I'm never going to be Julia Child. I don't have that training. I don't have that natural ability. I
Right.
mean,
Everybody can play
And to
basketball.
that to that point, everybody can excel in their life. Like if you're an accountant and you have like a very challenging set of reports or whatever, you can focus and get through that work. You know what I mean?
right,
You can center yourself in your life, whatever that may be. But there's certain people who are born very powerful or very, very force attuned, or however you want to word it. And those are the ones that stand out, and those are the ones that are like the heroes and maybe get more of the stronger powers. But I mean, everybody has it, but I don't think just because everybody has it, everybody, can
Are
can
born.
become, like
right.
me. Like for instance, we were talking, like I've tried to move the cup, right, and I've never been able to. Oddly enough,
Yeah.
every time I go to the supermarket, like I can open those doors, by waving
Yeah,
my
right.
hands.
Oh,
Like
yes.
Weird.
So
That's
you're
very-
attuned. You're attuned. I'm in that same camp, Tony.
Yeah.
I'm attuned to door opening. I'm very
there
good
you
in
go.
that. But
Elevators, the
grabbing
supermarket,
grabbing the remote from the other side of the room. That is not my force. That is not my force.
Nope. As much as I try, I can't bring that remote from the other side of the room. But
I just think the force is kind of maybe not different, but like you said, everyone can learn to cook. Everyone can also learn to play basketball, but not everyone's going to dunk. Like,
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
want to see Sabine suddenly be like, oh, yeah, I'm 45 years old and 200 pounds and haven't dribbled the ball in 10 years. I'm going to dunk it because I've been watching videos for 2 years. Like, no, that's not what it is. And
No.
Well, Yoda would have said she was too old to be trained.
yeah, my
absolutely.
Well, so
But it's-
episode 3, we get the eye of we get the
Iron.
hyperspace ring, the huge the Denab system, whatever, the huge giant hyperspace ring, which was very cool. That's what we knew what was going on. But why it's so big. I still posit that they're going there to bring his capital ship back.
Mm-hmm.
But we get a wonderful space battle. And lots of Yang blinking, if I recall. I think this is the episode where you kind of really notice him doing his eye squint blinking thing. I don't know which episode it's been now, but there's that's a weird thing to see a droid. But I've chalked it up in my mind that he's so old, his optics, whatever. They just need to reboot every once in a while, and that's why he's blinking. But a great battle scene.
Ron, I've been thinking about that statement for 3 weeks, and I've been staring at his eyes the whole time. And a thought came to my head: maybe for human comfort, the robot is programmed to blink, because you have protocol droids that stare at you blankly, but then Hu Yang is an interaction droid that trains children. So
children. Yep, you got to make him human-like. Yeah, I love it, Ryan. That's awesome.
That's what I'm thinking, at least. I mean, I've been thinking about this for 3 weeks, and it wasn't until episode 5 when he started to do like the underside of the eyelid squint, where he's like,
yeah, he's squinting.
Well,
that would make a lot of sense.
So
3PO stares at you coldly with his eyes.
And he never scared me when I was a kid. It's like, I don't know.
Well, no, in universe, to his point of view, training.
And the Ewoks never blinked either.
Trying to make that's human look.
Maybe that's why I was kind of creeped out by the Ewoks.
Yeah,
they were a little.
Vader doesn't blink either.
Yeah.
So do we have to blink?
A blinking Vader.
Blinking Vader.
Yes, Vader blinks. What are you talking about? Vader blinks. You just can't see it. We got the spacewalk too. This was right.
When that happened, I was like, Ryan's gonna bring up High Republic.
I am, because, and I will say this, even though I didn't much enjoy that High Republic book, it's like, meh. That scene, you remember I went on about 5 minutes how great that scene is, and I will say it now, that scene in my mind was better than what was shown in Ahsoka. Yes, it's live action, you get to see it, but like her taking blaster bolts and not repercussing backwards was a big problem for me, because I was like, you're in space, you don't have magnet shoes because there's no lights, there's no whoop, there's none of that noise like from Andor, you're just using the force to kind of stick. But like, it would be much more tension if she was hit and she went backwards to the edge of the ship, like almost into space, and then had to run back forward, because that's what happened in High Republic. And
you're positing that a laser blast has mass?
It has
what? It's a light beam. Light has mass?
But this isn't light. It kills you. Like, it does more than that. How many times flying in the air? The fact that it can put pots in the ground. You know, when they shoot the ground explodes. That's force. These beams have,
the ground isn't a lightsaber though.
But you still in a lot of books and shows, when Jedi take shots from starships, they slide backwards. Every time they do it, they like go backwards and tremble. The High Republic does it. I'm pretty sure Clone Wars has done it, where you block laser fire from ships and they stumble backwards because it's
bigger. It's just bigger, yeah.
It's a giant laser that's the size. We won't get into what lasers are in Star Wars. She's
floating in space. How'd she get off at one point in time, she's floating in space, though, whatever. They got to spin the ship around to
I admit.
How'd she get blown off the ship? I guess she jumped.
She
jumped.
A ray jump twist to cut his wing.
How does she manage to stand on the ship at all if she doesn't have magnetic pins?
Yeah.
I mean, at all. Like,
right.
She walked out.
They're trying to get the ship repaired. So that's why I was like, why is she out on the wing? Yeah, she's out on the wing because she's trying to deflect because the ship's down. The systems are down. Sabine's inside. Hu Yang's inside. They're doing whatever to get the ship back online. She's outside fighting to keep the ship safe or whatever. And that's where they go for cover into the system, the nav system, into the planet. Whatever's down below, that's where they go for cover. And that's where we see them, right? This is the first time we see them. Which was an awesome sight to see live action. The Purrgil.
They didn't see Purrgil this episode, did they?
Yeah, don't they? That's how they escape. That's how they get cover. They go for the planet, and that's where we see this.
Yeah, they're crashing their overheaders.
I like how Shin Hati, and again, I've seen people bring this up. This is about Ahsoka and Sabine improved their relationship when Ahsoka finally started to trust Sabine to shoot. But then you see the villains where Morgan Elsbeth isn't able to shoot him down. Then Shin Hati comes flying in, and it's just like, I'll take care of it because you can't. And then Shin Hati, she doesn't do it either. She also fails. So I thought that was a good show at the characters where Ahsoka's growing her connection with Sabine for whatever happens, hopefully a story for another time, why the villains are still at each other's throats and they have their own thing going on. So I do like that dichotomy of stories where Ahsoka and Sabine are growing closer, but then the other villains still have their own, as with most villains or Sith or whatever they are, they have their own ideals and what they're going to do, and it's throwing everything for a loop. I'll take care of it. Well, you didn't take care of it either. So I do say that was good.
Character arc development. Yeah. It's good to see some real character arc happening, some good curvature to that arc, if you will. I do wonder what the layperson thinks about seeing the Purrgil, right? That they're flying, they go, and there's these big. I mean, literally, if you're a lay fan, you got no idea what you're witnessing, or whatever. You're like, what are these space whales, planet whales? Because they're flying at this point. They were flying through the whales, but I don't think they were up in space flying through they weren't around the hyperspace ring.
No.
They were flying around. They used the Purrgil for cover of some fashion. That's how they got away from.
They showed in Mandalorian when they were traveling through hyperspace that the whales were kind of following along with the ship. So
well, but if if you're not somebody that's watching, Uber fans that are talking about it on a Sunday, you're watching Ahsoka. Oh, I like Ahsoka. I'll watch this. Do you have a clue what the heck just happened there? Or I get you're okay with it because it happened. You saw it and it's something, and you go along. You'll look to find out what it was, and find out they're space whales and blah blah. But just it's an odd sight for the lay fan, if you will, to what the heck. But it helped them, the characters. It helped the good guys escape.
So it's weird for somebody who's a lay fan. They'd be like, "What the heck am I looking at?" But
or they think it was cool.
Yeah, they would think it was cool, but they'd be like, "What the heck is this?" They wouldn't know that it came out of something else, like Rebels.
Yeah, because I don't think the characters even mentioned. I don't even think our characters kind of acknowledge that they know.
Hu Yang does. He says that whole thing about like, oh, there's these whales that are in space. He kind of explains it for everybody.
In this episode?
This one or when they land?
Episode 3. I do like I don't know if you guys have picked up that they don't show the episode titles on Tuesday night. Yeah. They do show the runtime. But they don't show the episode title. And I find that a wonderful bit of somebody using their brain or just thinking about us, the fan, that they're not,
you're not flipping through like, oh, this one's called,
Death of a, or what was the CD track of Death of a Jedi?
Death of Qui-Gon.
Something like that. It's not that the titles, looking at the titles after the fact, not that any of them are really super deluxe revealing, but I just like that little, somebody has used their brain and that little nugget is out there that they're not showing you the title for the first time so that you can go into it and just, it's fine after the fact or for anybody else that, watching it. But when I noticed on Tuesday nights, it does not have a title. I don't know when that title. Yeah, it just says the next episode.
No, Qui-Gon takes it in the chest.
I'm just wondering why Huang's. Maybe it's just because we already know this, but I just like they see the Sion there, and they got to scan it. Huang's got to do this great big scan to work out what it is. I was like, it looks like a giant hyperspace ring. It looks like one just looking at it, and he's got this great big scan. He works out this is a hyperdimensional hyperspace ring.
I think he was just kind of
like one in
checking to see what the power that it had.
Oh, yeah,
anything could be in hyperspace ring, but he kind of reads it to be like, well, this is like a superpowered hyperspace ring, capable of going.
He says it has like 6 hyperspace engines.
I mean, they know that they took a hyperspace engine, so.
Yes, that's right. That is true. Yeah.
Well, that's why they're here, right? They I mean, that's the whole reason they're at the Denab system to see what was going on or whatever from the second episode.
He's really. He's one of the
they put the tracker. That second episode, Chopper throws a tracker on the ship that took the hyperspace thing away. So that's why they end up where they are, to see the big giant hyperspace.
Okay, should we get into the next episode?
Yeah.
Does episode 3 end with any great fanfare?
Episode 3 ends with the twins going to Peru.
Guys after them in the forest, doesn't it?
Say again, Tony.
I said it ends with Balin sending the hunter
Oh, yes,
killer
right.
droids after them in the forest.
Into the forest.
In the
Okay.
the red forest.
Didn't Hu Yang get like knocked out or something? Right?
He got shot.
They
Yeah.
turned him off, I think, didn't they?
Well, that's
No.
that's the next episode, right? Go ahead, Steven, because I
No,
like
that's
that.
this episode. That was this episode he went off, didn't he?
Yeah, because he was scanning and then he didn't complete the scan until they
Yeah.
landed.
Yeah. until he
Yes.
comes back on.
Yeah, that's what it was. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay, so part 4, episode 4, part 4 was called Fallen Jedi. I see what they've done there. Good pun. So we've got Ahsoka thinks about the implications of reaching Thrawn and Bridger, giving Ren pause since she remains determined to find her friend. Moments later, they are attacked by several of Skull's forces, but they are able to dispatch them. Fearing that Elspeth and Skull will acquire the coordinates to Thrawn's location, Ahsoka and Ren head to their base but are intercepted by Haiti and Marek. Ahsoka kills Marek and continues on alone, while Ren stays behind to hold off Haiti, who realizes that Ren cannot wield the Force. Ahsoka reaches Skull and the two engage in a duel. Ahsoka is able to retrieve the map, but she tosses it aside after it burns her hand. Skull overpowers and sends Ahsoka plummeting into the ocean. Ren holds the map at gunpoint, but Skull manipulates her into handing it over by promising that she will see Bridger again. After Thrawn's location is revealed, Skull destroys the map to ensure that they aren't being followed, and boards the Eye of Sion, with Haiti and Ren as their prisoner. Eh? It's not quite right. A squadron of New Republic fighters, led by Syndulla, arrives at Cetos and tries, but fails, to stop the Eye of Sion from jumping into hyperspace. Meanwhile, Ahsoka awakens in the world between worlds, where she is met by her former master, Anakin Skywalker. Well,
So this was huge. Like I thought this episode was like great.
Steven, what are you reading that from? That they specifically called it World Between Worlds.
Oh,
Is
so
that a
this is
Star
one
Wars?
of the Wikipedia. So I would.
Wikipedia,
That's one of the
okay,
questions I was going to ask. I would take. I would take. What's the word? What's the phrase called? I would take that.
The grain of salt.
Yeah, to task a little bit on that. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
I'd say-
I'm actually convinced it was the world
That's
between.
why I asked, because I took umbrage when you said that, because I'm like, it's
Like, we don't. There was no
like-
portals, so
yeah. I don't. Anyway, so we'll get to that when that happens. But so right, F4, they're in the
Trust
forest
me.
trying to fix the ship, and
there's a cool robot battle. That's awesome.
Yes,
Yeah,
that was
there's-
probably the highlight, really, wasn't it? Yeah.
said Skull sends his people after him or whatever, and yeah, we get this is the episode where we get Hu Yang in a fight. I fist pumped. I loved it.
Yeah.
As soon as he started fighting, I'm like, oh, your bad self Hu Yang, because he's been around, he trains, he knows, so he's sure he's gonna kick this guy's butt. Let's
Like,
go.
give that robot a lightsaber. He just like 2
yeah.
seconds.
I was
I wanted him to go all General Grievous on us. I mean, what doesn't it?
pop the arms and separate them, and
Yeah.
You know, he had 2 short arms.
Mm.
He's
Bla-
socking.
do a staring contest with the other droid.
Then he's like, stick
Fight
together,
was bad.
don't separate. You guys are better together.
So I'm
Yeah,
glad we answer about Mary. I'm so
Go ahead.
glad the Mary thing is just taken care of, and he's just a puff of green smoke, man. So all these,
All right. Marek Fury.
and I
Which
love,
is
I
not.
love
I've seen people confused about that. I'm like, that's not something new. That happened in Clone Wars a lot. Like the magic would just like reanimate people, and I mean even Jedi Survivor, like or
I don't know
Fallen
that I
Order.
would say it happened a lot. It happened in the Clone Wars.
They had a
but,
whole army in the Clone Wars that were just people that were green puffs of smoke.
I was like,
yeah, but they look like zombies. They look like they were.
Well, we don't know what he looked like underneath the suit.
Touche.
But were they? Did they have a conscious though? Did they have a conscious? Because he has conversations, Marek, in this.
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't dead that long. So.
I
I don't know.
He sounded
Yeah,
quite.
I mean, but even
Yeah,
Savage though, Savage had like when he got his arm like cut off by was Obi-Wan, the green smoke stuff was like coming out of his arm. So it's magic. So
Magic with a K.
magics.
Mm.
really not
You
sure
said-
what who he is, I guess, but at least it's not Ezra, and at least it's not all these other
I mean, they
ridiculous
said he
people.
was a former Inquisitor that works as a mercenary now. So.
They have wear masks, and we barely even know any of their backstories as it is, or names. They're just, oh, Inquisitor, cool. Now you're working with somebody, green smoke or not, possessed, powered up, like you said, Savage. I don't know, but I'm just happy he's out of the way, so we can get to other stuff, so people would
He
stop
was a red
focusing.
shirt.
Or is he?
Exact red shirt. Yeah. Just get him out of here. he served his purpose, and now we're off to another galaxy. So Merrick was cool. I did like him, and I must say, like, my wife obviously, watches this, and she thought that was pretty cool, where she just like steps through the blade spinning and takes him down in one move.
Oh,
Because
right. Don't you
Yeah.
love that confidence, that's sitting there waiting for him spinning up? He's all being all bad about himself or whatever, and she just yes, the one step, the one move, the I've got this, and takes him out. Loved it. Oh, I loved it. Love when the guys
I'm
win.
slightly disappointed in Marek that we didn't get our first live action helicopter saber.
Oh,
stuff.
thank God.
I don't even understand how that whole thing happened where everybody was like speculating who he was. Like they literally told everyone that he was a former Inquisitor. That was part of it. That basically was a statement released by Star Wars, and everyone's like, "Oh, he's this person." He's like, "Why are you guys building this character?"
They also said Christensen wasn't in Kenobi or this show. So, everyone's just like, they're just twisting it so we don't see it coming. And it's like, no, it's just a terrible idea. So
Say again, Marie.
This is who he is. I mean, there's nothing. People love to speculate, but like Word of God says, this is who he is. Take that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they gave people camera time, it would make sense. Like if they'd zoom in and be making reactions, or if he'd be like jittery. But he didn't get a lot of screen time. He was a background character the whole time until he was forced to face Ahsoka a couple times. He served his purpose. Ahsoka
is a bad guy that needed to go.
He was a story type. As now Ahsoka shows how strong she is, and it just steps through his blade, and it's just like, okay, that was pretty cool. So
yeah, the plot, nothing more.
But then, so Ahsoka defeats Merrick, but then we have the flip side of it, and how. Not that I thought Sabine was going to get killed, but I don't know that I thought Sabine was going to. I wondered how that, as that battle's progressing, I'm really a bit trepidatious and wondering how that's going to go down. Now, once Ahsoka takes out Merrick, then you kind of think, well, she can go help Sabine with Shin, but she doesn't. She says, no, you go get the map or whatever. I got this. And I was honestly a bit nervous for how that was going to play out. What limb she's going to lose or what's going to happen there or whatever. But we get the ultimate great scene that is the she holds out her hand and Shin recoils. I loved it that she was expecting the impact. She's been trained by her master so much, or she's seen that enough times that she's expecting something that she sort of tightens up, or otherwise just is ready for the impact, and then kind of opens her eyes and goes, wait a minute, you have no power, right up until the gauntlets, the Mandalorian wrist things or whatever do their part. What a beautiful scene. That was some fantastic. And then
this is like Ahsoka,
it got me. It caught me
finally trusting Sabine, like she's like, okay, you got this, I believe you. Like, I'm not gonna coddle you, So that, and she shouldn't have, but but that's her, like, finally that relationship is getting mended where she's like, okay, cool, like I trust you, you got this.
Because she's only had a little bit of training. Does she trust her?
They kind of bonded when they were doing the space battle, though. Like
to
they were
take
kind
care
of
of herself, or does she, in the heat of the moment, recognize the situation? What's more important, trying to save Sabine or that map to stopping Thrawn?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. She didn't think she had to save Sabine. Like she trusted that she had it handled.
No, this is what I'm trying to get you to think about, is that she's not caring about Sabine. She's not worrying about Sabine. She's not trusting that Sabine can hand herself. She's focused on that map to get to Thrawn, to stop Thrawn, because that's been her driving thing all of this time. That the map is more important than Sabine's life, than say trying. In any other time, somebody would do both. Somebody would risk the loss of the map in order to save the friend. But at this point, she's like, all right, I'm going for the map, because that is super important. I might think it's a little bit more of that she's
they kind of built up that
she's willing to sacrifice.
She kept second guessing Sabine, and in this instance, she's like, okay, no, I'll go get the map. You got this. I'm not going to question. Like, if she would have been like, no, you can't handle it by yourself, then that would have been like so bad for Sabine. Like her, like, well, you still don't trust me that I can.
But not so much. No, you can't handle her by yourself. But here, let's take her together. It'll be quicker, and then we go get the map. If the two of them or fight her, she's dispatched quickly. She's not that much of a match. Shin Hati is not that much a match for Ahsoka. Definitely not that much of a match for both of them. So why not go help her for 5 seconds and take her out? and
Hu
then
Yang?
both of them go. Versus
Yeah, Hu Yang told them to stay together. So.
And yeah, Hu Yang. Yeah, why not listen to Hu Yang? Yeah, well, great point. Why not listen to Hu Yang, who knows, gave them a great bit of advice. Stay together. Nope. Ahsoka goes running off, and look what happened. Kind of thing. That there's power at that scene.
Then again, Sabine told her to go. So I mean, there is kind of like, okay, well, I'm going to trust my Padawan to do this, but Ahsoka also ignored Hu Yang, where it's like, listen, you need to stay together. And they probably would have avoided everything that happened if they really stayed together. But it's almost as Sabine was overcompensating for it. So I don't really blame Ahsoka for it. It's Sabine like, no, go for the map, go. And it's like, no, take care of what you're putting. Like Sabine told them to separate, not Ahsoka. So it's like,
that's what I was getting ready to challenge you, because you said Ahsoka didn't listen to Hu Yang, but Ahsoka necessarily is not the one that didn't listen. It was Sabine. Sabine's the one that said, no, go get the map, separate. Sabine was
full of
go separate.
Full of all kinds of bad choices in this episode.
Well, she's a Padawan learning. They've got to learn from them all. But yeah, they both end up. How does she deal with the Shin Hati? She does the wrist thing or whatever, but she doesn't. Yeah, she just stuns her, or otherwise gives her enough time.
Yeah, she uses the wrist rocket thing, right?
Right. That's what I mean. She doesn't kill her. She just enough to get away, or puts her back, or whatever you want to say, but enough to get away, because then she ends up at the map. She sees Ahsoka fighting Balin with the. Why did the thing burn her hand? Why did the thing go all Raiders of the Lost Ark and burn her hand?
It was the magic.
Is that what it was?
Yeah,
or she took it, or it was powering. Was it powering up the map? It was on, and that's why when she grabbed it, I think it was on, so it was hot at that point, because it didn't burn anybody else's hand when they grabbed it and all that. But I think it was on the temple, or it was on the altar or whatever, right?
Yeah, remember, it's green fire, so it was been heating up for how long, type of thing. So
okay, so yeah, it was in use, and that's what made it. And she didn't know that when she goes there. She's just trying to grab it and run. So that's where
she wasn't wearing gloves.
She was though, wasn't she?
She was wearing Yeah, she was wearing gloves. They were fingerless.
Fingerless. Yeah, she wears it very.
That looks cool when you're breakdancing, but isn't that really functional?
This is the episode where it has the countdown, like they're trying to do some calculations. I mean, it was a great intense build or whatever, but it's got like you can tell it's a countdown because it's slowly building out.
They were
whatever and
downloading on
is it going to calculate time or whatever? Yeah, it's waiting on the landline, trying to tie back to the ship. It was an odd construct, but it was necessary to build tension and showcase what was transpiring, that they're trying to calculate these coordinates or whatever. But
like downloading a game on your console.
To me, in the real time of the episode, it shows like the first quadrant build in a certain amount of time. Shows you the second quadrant build, and then it goes off, and we see a bunch of other stuff happening. And granted, it's all happening at the same time, so that's why. But then when we come back, I'm expecting to be at like quadrant 4 or 5 because so much time's elapsed. But it's only at quadrant 3. It's not as much time as elapsed, or it took longer to calculate that part of the equation. It just was a thing that.
Ron, if you ever had to download a game on your Xbox, it stays at like 50% forever.
Yeah, touche. No, I have done the downloading bar that the first part of it goes by swimmingly, quickly, and you're like, oh well, this is going great, and then you get to that 75% tile mark or something, and it's just like, man, it's stuck here forever. What's going on? Yeah, that's what happened.
It was like being in 1999 trying to download the episode 1 trailer and on a landline and being there for like 14 hours.
And your mom picks up the phone and then ruins it.
And then you have to start all over again because somebody in the house picked up the phone.
You guys are dating yourselves.
Where's my
So
AOL
because
CD?
I didn't have to do that. I had work and I had a decent connection, but yeah, I am too because I know exactly. I think we all are. We know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you're Gen X or an older millennial, you know that feeling.
Oh yeah.
The more I see about Balin's goal, like the cooler this character gets. Like when he's having the conversation with Ahsoka and she throws her robe and she's like, we're not here to talk about my past.
Yeah, right.
What does he want?
Yeah,
Like,
that's the biggest thing with this series for me, and I said it with the first episode, is what got me is not the characters. I'm not here to see Rebels season 30. I don't know, whatever. Like, I'm here to see what the mystery is. Like, I want to see this other galaxy. And the mystery around Balin is so great. Like, I just want to know what he's doing because he's like, power will change hand and all this. So he knows something, and he knows about the path to Peridia and everything. And I'm just like, man, this guy just knows something. And that's what's really keeping me on the. I mean, I'm going to watch it anyway. I'm not going to say it's not good, but like that mystery is just like what's really cranking my needle to 11 is this exploration of Star Wars type of thing. And it's like, I love their battle. The way they
at the Henge, he monologues to Ahsoka about knowing Anakin. How old is he? Well, where in the timeline, that's why I go to you, because you're awesome with the timeline stuff. That where do we think he fits in terms of, is he the same age as Anakin? Because it's not like he's the old guy at the Jedi Temple and knows about Anakin, because he's old now, and we're so far removed from where all of that took place that how old is he during the prequel trilogy? Where is he at? Is he whose age equivalent? Is he as old as Anakin? Is he as old as Obi-Wan? He's not as old as Obi-Wan, because he's as old as Obi-Wan now, and Obi-Wan would be crazy old at this point if he lived. So
Well, I mean, this is only what,
where's this
8
guy
years
at
removed from A New
or
Hope.
where's this
So I
guy
mean, he
at?
wouldn't be that much older than Obi-Wan, right?
No.
Where's this guy
No,
at prequel trilogy age-wise? Same age as Anakin, or a little bit older?
I think
he's
Obi-Wan's
probably
age.
around Anakin, somewhere between Anakin and Obi-Wan, I would say.
At this point, Anakin would be 50 years old because Anakin was born 41 BBY. So and now we're 9 years BBY or ABY. So
Mhm.
Anakin would be 50 at the time of Mandalorian. So, and again, it's hard to tell people's age compared to shows like Cheers, where a 30-year-old looks 70. But like, and Hayden Christensen looks like he hasn't aged a day. So it's hard to show. And Ewan McGregor, hard to show that these guys got old when it's like, no, they look great for 20 years.
Well,
Bad.
like Luke was like 19 in A New Hope, right?
Yeah.
And like the OT was like maybe 3 years of OT, so that
Yeah.
would make him like 21, and then 5 years after that. So Luke's still young, So
Luke's still young. Luke is 23 at the end of Jedi.
yeah, so he's like 8 now.
And this
during
is, I'm
time.
sorry, how many years after Jedi is this?
5, 5 or 6,
so.
yeah.
Yeah, 5. It's still up. Yeah, it's 5 to 7 if you
So,
want.
I mean, he could be
Luke's
like
Luke's
Obi-Wan's
not even
age.
30 yet. Yeah.
I mean, Hu Yang knew what his lightsaber was, so he was obviously at the temple, during that time, and he was in.
Obi-Wan age. He was. I mean, he looks old. He looks like an elder statesman kind of. He has that vibe, and I'm really. How do I say it? I'm just gutted that Ray Stevenson won't be around for the rest of it because I really want to know more about him. I want to know more about who he is, where he came from, like the rest of you guys. I want to know which Jedi, that he would have potentially trained with or known or whatever. I'm wondering if he is between like Anakin and Obi-Wan in age.
I want to
We'll
know his
see the
fault.
series because we don't know if he makes it through out of season 1, so we don't know yet. But I am like you, gutted for the actor because he was thrilled to be a part of Star Wars. He looked like he was going to be not a champion, but he was going to enjoy the moment that would have been the gushing at celebrations and all this stuff. That's what is to me is really tragic for the actor to miss out on that. Hopefully, I don't want to say hopefully his story is to end in season 1, so it works out for the storytellers, and that's a harsh thing to say, the man's passing, whatever, but that they don't have to. Or there's the flip side of no, he is very much around at the end of this season, and they've got to figure something out.
They're gonna have to recast
to redo it, and that's. I mean, it's an unfortunate byproduct of living in the real world and someone passing away. But this will be the first if he wasn't already written out of season 1 or dispatched by the end of season 1 or whatever, it'll be another real world situation, much like Carrie, where they've got to figure something out. Do they recast this one because it's not such the iconic character and be able to finish the story or come up with something? Yeah, that's going to be fun. It's really hard to say that kind of word about somebody's passing, but that's going to be an interesting part of the Star Wars storytelling that we get. I guess if they just recast, it's not going to be that challenging. It's just recast it and keep telling the story. It's just not the same person.
I just looked up his age, like the actor's, Ray Stevenson's age, and he was 59.
Okay.
How old?
So and then I looked up Alec Guinness, and Alec Guinness was, I think, 63 around the time of A New Hope. So they're pretty similar in age. So we can assume the characters are probably about the same age.
Well,
They're the same Jedi graduating
where
class.
where is he? That was my original posit. Where is he at in the original trilogy that he goes on monologuing to Ahsoka about? We heard about, or we knew about Anakin, or we heard about him, or whatever it is he says about Anakin, because he's not this old guy. That's my thing. Is he's not this old guy in the prequel trilogy that knows about Anakin or is trying to teach him, or
Everybody knew about Anakin.
He's not
That's
quite.
what he says.
He's
Like
not.
everybody in the Jedi Order knew Anakin Skywalker. Like even if you didn't know him personally, he was so famous that like all Jedi
They all knew him.
Right, he's
They all
a
knew him.
contemporary at that time of Anakin's rise and everything. He's a contemporary, not a teacher, not a higher.
Well, no, because
he's not
Anakin would
master.
take out.
He's not a
They
master.
took turns taking Padawans out on to Ilum to get their crystals, so Anakin did that a few times, in the books. So he did interact with Padawans a lot, and he was tasked with training the Padawans. So even if this guy was a Padawan, he knew Anakin.
So that's something. So you think Anakin was old enough to have perhaps taken him out as a Padawan to get his crystal?
No, that's actually canon in the books. Yeah.
No, that he took Balin's skull.
No, I think Balin was already a knight and fighting in the war at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Older. I think if he's real life 59, that's what a 59-year-old former Jedi can look like. So they can easily say he's 9 years older than Anakin. If they want to use his real, life age, don't seem older. It's like
So
the dude.
not Qui-Gon old in the original trilogy, not Mace Windu old in the original trilogy, just a Jedi, not maybe a full amount, not on the council. He's a Jedi that's out there doing things like
maybe he was like
all
40,
the other Jedi that we saw
30.
at the Phantom Menace, or the Battle of Geonosis.
He was a full-on knight, though.
That would be my assumption, is that he's old enough to know who Anakin is, old enough to do his own thing, but then
And he was able to survive Order 66.
Yeah. How did he know about Vader though? Because he did imply that, right? That he knew what he became.
Yeah.
Isn't that what he meant? So how did he know that? Like I don't understand how all these people know who Vader is. It's like was that
he knew though?
Was it common knowledge at that point already? Like
there's been a good bit of back and forth between us as is that a common thing that's out there, that Anakin Skywalker turned into Vader, or just
Well, they knew Leia's dad was Vader, so and that's why they didn't want to elect her like Chancellor or whatever. So.
But that was later, wasn't it?
That was later.
That was later. I'm just saying, like, because this is just a few years after Jedi. I'm like, and it's like I don't know. I just don't understand. It just seems like so many people know who Vader is. I'm just like,
I don't know if they so much know who he is as they sort of guessed, because Anakin Skywalker disappears, and all of a sudden this Vader guy, where does he come from? Where did he even come from? Nobody knew who that was, and so maybe they make the connection because they're like, oh hey, isn't that around the time that Anakin Skywalker kind of just like disappeared off the map? Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, unless they released that footage, the same one that Obi-Wan saw, the way he found out, like where Palpatine is, knighting him Darth Vader, and they released that to the public just as part of the crimes, but then they would have oppressed that, right? Because Palpatine was the one who won, so he would have hidden that. So I don't know. I just don't know how.
I can totally see Star Wars podcasters in universe, tinfoil hats, being like, listen,
conspiracy theories.
I have the answer, and it's one word: whistleblower.
To Ryan's point about Balin's skull, though, he is a very, his motives, his desires, what he knows, and what he's going for, the way he monologues with Ahsoka, and trying to talk to her, and she basically says, we're going to fight, and he's like, how inevitable. He was trying to he was Count Dookuing her to some extent of join, help her.
Yeah.
Here's what's going to happen. Let's do things good, bad, or different type of thing, whatever. And does the same thing with Sabine, and I think Ricky talked about episode full of bad choices of Sabine. That it was awesome to see a bad guy say, join me and together we can find Ezra. Give me the map, join me, and I'll help you. And he's true to his word. that he takes her with, and I'll take you and we'll go find him and all this. It
And he
doesn't
doesn't
just
harm
get
her.
the map. Yeah, that's what I mean. That he just doesn't get
He
the
calls
map. It's
Shin
like,
off
all
of
right,
her.
call Shin off of her. That was a neat bit of his seeing into his character arc. That was a neat bit of seeing his drive, his motivation, and who he is. He's like, no, I won't. What does he say? Because he's going for maybe another apprentice or a follower. Because he says, I won't treat you bad like your master did, or some. I won't lie to you like your master did. Something that he's getting to her about how Ahsoka walked away from her or something. I forget what the quote is, but he says something about I won't treat you bad like Ahsoka did, which and it's true to his word. That was, I mean, just a great part ending to this episode.
He still has nobility. That's what's so great about his character.
Yeah, there's a little bit of nobility somehow.
Remember in the second episode, he's like, it'd be a shame if we'd have to kill her. And then he kills her. So, kicks her butt off a cliff.
Well, then he could have stabbed Ahsoka, but he hit her lightsaber instead. He didn't I'm going to kill you, Ahsoka. He's like, no, I'm going to just push you off. He could have straight on try to stab her, but
death. Yeah, it's a much better death. Falling to your death is so respectful than just being sliced.
He seems to know something's going to happen.
Oh, that's interesting. I like it, Ryan. His nobility is I'm going to dispatch you in this manner versus bisecting you or something, or stab type of thing. I love it. I love that scene of Sabine, or Ahsoka tells her to destroy the thing and she won't. In front of Ahsoka, and then he's sitting there monologuing with, that was such good stuff.
And he's like, do it. And I was like, yeah.
Do it.
I just want to know what he wants. He doesn't seem to be full on bad. He kind of sees some kind of higher purpose with bringing. Yeah. Does he want Ezra back or does he want Thrawn back? Which one?
Well, the Jedi is. I kind of thought he's going for, or my take. I think it's not well formed, but he's going for he wants to be the next Yoda, let's say, whatever. That he wants to start something up. Well, you guys go fight your war, get Thrawn, go do whatever. But I'm going to get a higher power, get more power to where I'll get followers. Right? What's his drive? If Thrawn and the war is going to do their thing, he could be the Vader to that Empire. Maybe is his drive to.
I guess he thrives in war. I don't know.
To be the Force person that helps the Empire, or the bad group like Vader did, or be the Emperor. Right? What's his?
Maybe he thinks he can take the Emperor's place and manipulate Thrawn and. Okay, I have power, so I'm going to be in charge of this Empire now.
Yeah, they're going to come to me. But yeah, like Ryan, that's a great point. That his is still, there's still a bit of nobility in his drive and in his motivations to some extent.
His word means something still, even though he's bad.
So speaking of drive, how did Sabine's drive and her not really switch to the bad side, but how did
I hated her in this episode.
How did that switch of abandonment? How did that go with you guys? What do you think of that?
That she gave up the map?
Yeah, that she pretty much she decided to join Balin. How did that drive go?
I took that as her being true to her word to Ezra that she will see this through. And I trust you to see this through. And while it wasn't the right thing to do, she didn't want to do it, especially at this point, Ahsoka's dispatch. But at this point, I got to take you, or if I destroy the map, I truly have no way of finding Ezra. Ahsoka's gone. Everything in her world at this point is shattered, is gone, or whatever. I'll give you the map.
This was the total mirror episode of Anakin and Mace. No, I need him. Kind of thing. Don't destroy it.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
I mean, there's something to where I heard. I don't think it's a romantic. I've seen some positives about the romantic aspect. I think it's her nobility, if you will, her Mandalorian way that she Ezra asked her to see this through, whatever that was to because I don't think he said rescue me when I have to jump to hyperspace with a Purgo. That wasn't part of the plan anyone knew. That was plan B, plan C, or plan D for him at that point. If things went sideways, he told those guys to go to the out of the planets, go to orbit and send out this signal on this channel. And they're like, nobody uses that channel anymore. He was making a call to the whales, but that was if everything goes bad, we're going to do this. Not part of his original plan. Anyway, I think it's her motivation to.
Well, we can see that she's kind of obsessed with finding him too. That's been her whole motivation. So this is the one crumb she has that can get her to him, and she's not going to let it.
But how about Balin? You talk about Balin and his, and how cool of a character is that he destroys the map. He's like, all right, do we got the coordinates? We're good. All right, no one's following us. I mean, that was hold on, we need to I'm a pack rat, so I keep everything. But it was just like, hold on, we need to recalculate, or there was something wrong. Well, I destroyed it, so oops, sorry, we can't. That is a bold move to destroy the map. It's a character move. It's a story move. It has to happen so no one can follow us. We get there. Yeah, I get it. But wow, what a awesome character, right? To have the destroy the thing. All right, we're good. Well, then I'm gonna lightsaber this thing in half or whatever.
It's like you think he knew Ahsoka wasn't fully gone, that she could have got up there and got it, or didn't want to fall in the wrong hands if he did take it with him.
He knows what happened. Not that he knows what happened to Ahsoka, but he knows he didn't strike a death necessarily.
Well, and it stops Sabine from trying to get it on the ship when she's there with him.
I think he knows that he tried to kill her. It's just that he doesn't want anyone else finding the map, and he has Sabine with her, so it's just like destroy.
There's no reason. Yeah, we got.
He definitely thinks, and he probably did kill Ahsoka. So, but I wonder how Ahsoka will take Sabine pretty much choosing Ezra over Ahsoka, because she's like on a cliff edge, and she's like, "Yo, I'm going for Ezra, peace," and then she gets booted. So I'm like, man, Sabine kind of. You really chose one friend over the other there.
Yeah.
Like,
she knew. Well, let's see. She trained. We think she's trained with Ahsoka already, but she knew Ezra way more than she knew Ahsoka from the Rebels aspect. Her time with Ezra, she rescued him as a kid, and Ahsoka was just a bit player to them. Important bit player, but in her life, let's say a person in her life, Ezra was way more in her life than Ahsoka was.
Is he though?
Right.
Like, did they meet in Rebels? They met in Rebels, didn't they?
Yeah, but Ahsoka was only in 4 episodes of Rebels.
Yeah, Ahsoka wasn't in Rebels. I mean, with a Sabine.
That long, yeah. She was part of the family.
Years long. So I mean, she's only known Ezra for 4 years, but she's been, Ezra's been gone for 9. So depending on how long she knows Ahsoka, they could be together on and off for 5 years. So there's still a relationship, and she was still her master. And even if they still had a falling out, it's like, you really let your friend get kicked off a cliff so you can go find Ezra. Like, yikes. Like, yikes.
Like I said, I hated her after this episode.
She let her friend get kicked off the cliff.
So did people actually feel any tension when Ren was holding the map ball at gunpoint? So it's like, this is no threat at all to him, really. He can just snatch it with the force.
I was thinking that too.
I mean, there's no tension here, so he just used the time to manipulate her into. Well, he didn't really have to do anything. He didn't have to manipulate her, did he? Really, he could have got that ball at any time. Really.
Well, I don't think she's going to destroy once Ahsoka's dispatch. I don't think she's going to destroy it at that point. I thought she might have destroyed it while Ahsoka says, destroy it. Because they could figure out something later. They have whatever. There's everything else is still in play. But once Ahsoka's gone, then I'm like, well, if she destroys it, she's got no leverage in any way, shape, or form. I didn't think she would be destroying it at that point.
Well, I think Balin's looking ahead too. He's like, well, if I take Sabine with me, Ezra's probably going to be more keen to go with me and join me in my cause. So
yeah.
So,
well, built trust in Sabine and of Balin that he was true to his word, took her whatever his motivations are, whatever he's trying. Shin Hati is going to be a little bit, that's going to be a cold
thrown against a rock.
Awkward silence on the ship and all of that but maybe that's why he wants her too, is to be a foil for Shin Hati, or a sparring partner. That tension's there to keep him sharp. Would he know in the Force that Merrick's gone? Would he sense that if it's a magic person versus a real person? Does Balin sense that he's dispatched?
I think
he just saw he didn't return. So
I don't think. He doesn't care. He just he's gone. Okay,
that's a good point though. No one's actually cared less about him, have they? They've just gone off.
And maybe it goes the pecking order that he cares about Shin. Shin cares about Merrick. Does Balin Skull direct Merrick, or does he direct Shin, and Shin brings Merrick with him and does things? And like I say, it doesn't seem like he cares.
I mean, he didn't really care about Shin being gone either. So you know.
Oh no, she came back. She wasn't gone.
Well, I mean, before.
But
It's just weird that like
he would
Sabine,
sense her in the Force if she was dispatched.
Yeah, that's true.
Not Merrick.
during the episode when Sabine thinks that she's going to destroy it, us as viewers by the end of the episode realize there's no way Sabine could have destroyed this ball. She held it point blank with a blaster, but then Baylan Skoll fully plunges a lightsaber into it, which cuts through almost everything, and it takes 9 seconds to break this thing, and she's holding a blaster. It's just like she wouldn't.
It's not even the saber that breaks it. It's like the thing just splits apart due to the heat. Like I watched it again, I'm like, well, how did this thing break in half? It's because he put it through the middle, and then it kind of just like separated, you know?
He didn't slice it in half?
No. It kind of just broke apart from the heat. It all lights up, and then it's like blip and splits.
He pierced it, and then it,
It's like shooting a laser like from Honey, I Shrunk the Kid. That's something that explodes, you know?
It's in the holder or whatever, and he just sticks his lightsaber or whatever.
There was that line that Ahsoka tells Sabine before they took off, or when they were outside the ship in the woods, when she was telling her that they might, if they can't get it back, then they just have to make sure that they don't get it. And so the fact that she's like, what did she tell you? Can I rely on you, or can I trust you, or so I'm like, okay, if she's actually verbally saying that, then it's going to come to this point, and it's not going to happen. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened.
And I like how even Morgan was surprised, when she's kind of looking across and then she sees Sabine and you kind of see in her eyes, like, interesting. All right, well, let's get going. I thought that Baylan's doing his own thing, and Morgan's like, yeah, that's fine by me. Let's go. And then on to episode 5, I guess. We know how this one ends.
Well, no, we got to talk about, because this, if ever I'm going to ask, how did the episode end? We can't gloss over it, because how did this episode end? Because this one, what I do remember of its ending is the neat transition of how they showed us the waves crashing against the rocks or whatever, and transitioned into the wherever the heck Ahsoka is type of scenario, the waves around her type of thing. It was a neat transition of how we went from.
It was amazing. Yeah, it was amazing.
Looking at the waves and where we saw Ahsoka dispatch,
and it turns into the stars,
and it turns into the area where she is, and we hear the voice, and we hear. What do we hear? Hello, Snips, or I don't know what line it is. Is it literally Hello, Snips? I know we hear Snips.
Yeah, I did on caption.
You hear the Snips, and you just, oh yes, where we knew where. I don't think it's World Between Worlds now, but we knew it was something like. But yeah, that happens, and she turns, and he's there, and it's just. I remember the one thing I remembered. My takeaway was, because I watched with the closed captions on. There's a very brief interaction, and whatever it is, whatever dialogue they says is "I see you" or something like that. But it fades to black, and in the closed captioning, it says Darth Vader's theme playing, or it says Darth Vader music or something. It's purposefully in the closed captioning that it's telling you it's Vader music, not ominous music, which is usually what it says, or playful music or something like that. It says, because I just remember seeing that, and just it specifically pointed out it was Vader's theme, even though we're looking at Anakin. Oh, I remember seeing that, just like, no, it can't be over, but it can be, because what a great way to end an episode. What a great cliffhanger, not a cliffhanger, but a great, I can't wait till next episode type of moment.
Yeah.
That was a gasp then scream moment, because the episode ends right there, and you're just like, why isn't it next Tuesday?
Yes. Yeah. Hayden looked awesome too, and we'll talk about that in the next episode. Yeah. I do want, like anything with the whales, I do wonder what the layperson thinks of where the heck she is, or where she was at the end of that episode. But obviously they realize she's not. I guess they realize she's not dead. Or they're leading you to think she's not dead in some fashion, because she's having this interaction with what they would know it's Anakin, whether they know, she calls him Master, I think, but whether they would know, whether a lay fan is going to know who the heck, or what the heck Anakin and Ahsoka's relationship was or is. To my brother is kind of who I always think of as a lay. He's seen the movies and knows a little bit, and watches them and enjoys them, but he is not talking about it on a Sunday with friends. It just, he's going to have no concept. He had no idea who, when Maul was back, he just, in Solo, he's just like, oh, it's another guy. He didn't realize it was the same guy, whatever they are. type of thing. That's the kind of fan I think about when I see something like this. That's like, what do they think is going on? That she's talking to Anakin. They're going to recognize him as Anakin, but why is he talking to her? Anyway, they got to keep watching. They got to dive in more and learn more about it. Is basically what has to happen, right?
To the recap, so we can do episode 5 then.
Yep.
Yeah, no, yeah. I was just reading. That's rating ahead. I see that they released the music for the first 4 episodes a couple of days back. Apparently.
Yeah, on Friday they dropped the first half season episodes. So that Sabine song when she's on the bike is out now. So.
And they're missing.
Because I've just been looking
out on money because unless they put it on a hard copy, this fan ain't buying.
It says digitally, so yeah, there isn't something that is
at the end of the season round. They'll probably put it on vinyl because that's what I've been doing. I've been buying the Mando ones on vinyl.
Oh, that's
cool. There's like the two extremes, right? Vinyl and then digital. Like
yeah.
CD. What happened to CD?
Right? What the hell is a CD? What do a vinyl? What do I went to vinyl?
Yeah. No, that's going too far back.
How cheap is it to make a CD, press hundreds of them, and sell them?
Right.
Come on.
You want to burn a vinyl. That's what you want to do. Okay.
Well, you can burn it into the CD if you have a burner. I guess I don't know.
What I'm doing that for? It's 2023. Print a CD on demand.
I want it on cassette.
As orders come in, copy it.
I need a Memorex tape, Ron, with the Star Wars music.
Pre-orders at Memorex.
The way vinyl even works is magic. Like, come on.
Like I'm fascinated looking at my record player. I'm like, how is this making?
You don't even need
impressive,
electric. Yeah. You don't even need electric to play a vinyl. Just no round up, wind up handle and stuff.
Yeah, it still plays even though there's no amplifier. Like you can still hear it.
Yeah,
it's weird.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay.
Aliens, man.
One last thing, and then I'll let you go. I heard if you crack a vinyl, green smoke comes out of it because it's magic how it works.
Magic.
Thank you. So it was worth it then. All right.
Ooh, I want an Ahsoka vinyl with the green smoke colored.
Go with the F5 recap.
Gotta be orange.
Right. Okay. So episode 5, part 5, Shadow Warrior. This is the one in the cinema. The one we just hot off the watching, and the recap on Wiki does say World Between Worlds, and it says it again in this one, so we'll debate that one later. So it says, Syndulla arrives on Cetos where she finds Ahsoka and Ren gone. While investigating alongside his mother, Jason Syndulla senses that Ahsoka is in the World Between Worlds, thus revealing his own connection with the Force. In the in-between space, Anakin explains to Ahsoka that he had been watching her through the Force, and deduces that her loss to Skull was partially due to her unresolved guilt over the events that drove them apart. Ahsoka loses a duel with Anakin and relives fragments of her past during the Clone Wars, during which she grows concerned that her legacy will only be one of fighting. Believing Anakin's teachings includes his legacy with Darth Vader, she initially refuses him, determined not to be held on to the past, which leads to another duel between them. Finally understanding that she wasn't involved in Anakin's downfall and that her legacy was her own choice, Ahsoka continues to live and continue fighting. Ahsoka is recovered by Syndulla's crew, and through her power she learns that Ren is with Skull. Syndulla is contacted by Mothma, who informs her that New Republic forces are en route to take her and Ahsoka into custody. As the Republic fleet detachment arrives, Ahsoka recruits a pod of Purgrill to take her and Huang to Ezra and Sabine. While Syndulla, Jason and Chopper stay behind. It's not quite clear why they had to stay behind, really. They could have plenty of room in that mouth, but I suppose that's pulled part of the story. There we go.
So it's the Ahsoka show, not Rebel season 30, as Ryan said. Whatever season we're up to, because I kind of wondered that too. Why go along? But it's the Ahsoka show, so it's more about Ahsoka's thing than.
Well, they're kind of distracting the Republic guys from.
And they've got to deal with that. Is this the episode, or was it the last one? I think it might have been the last one we missed, where we get young Jason. We get a young person's not fully formed. I've got a bad feeling about this.
Yeah,
he says, "Mom, my stomach's bad," or he says, "You just got
I have a bad feeling."
Okay, yeah, he doesn't go the full. I love that. Just that he wouldn't necessarily go about I have a bad feeling. He doesn't know that it's about something specific or about what they're doing.
He doesn't know the rest of the line.
Weird in the Force. I love that it was that. I have a bad feeling about this, but not that spot on because, like you say, yeah, he's too young to know what he has a bad feeling about. He just, Mom, I don't feel so good. Yeah, that was wonderful. I like that. I think that was a previous episode.
And they covered his ears with hair.
So we got to know if, for this filler episode, if Anakin.
Episode 5 was filler.
This episode,
like it.
I'm going to tell you right now.
All filler, no killer.
This episode, compared to episode 4, which is so far my favorite, episode 5 is filler. It is filler. I don't care.
It is a character development study, Ryan, which is
of filler.
Good.
So, but was Anakin real or not? Like, I have to, we got to talk about that. Like, what the world between worlds was in Rebels was apparently different than what it is now, because it was a place between time and everything, and you can interact with it. But now it's the way I kind of see it. For those that watched the third Guardians movie or any other movie, it's that space between life and death. It's like, are you ready to move on and accept your death? Where, in Guardians 3 did it amazingly. Or are you ready to fight? Are you ready to continue on? So it's like, but that's not what was shown in Rebels. It's not like Ezra died and got there. He just went there.
Well, and there's no portal doors. We're in this area.
Rebels, he went into a portal, and that was World Between Worlds. This, while it was similar, and while everybody was thinking Dave was going to take us there, was not World Between Worlds.
No.
But
because as soon as Ezra stepped foot in there, he could hear the other movies. He can hear Yoda. He can hear everybody. That did not happen here. And there was no doors to look through. There's no windows. It's just
exactly the same. You can't. They didn't explain.
Anakin was not a Force ghost.
No.
Either.
I thought that it was the same thing, but it's just that it appears differently to different people.
But she's been in there before.
She has, I guess, but she was in there because Ezra brought her in. So now she's in it because whether it was Anakin that brought her in or she fell in, she entered. She entered differently this time than she did last time.
It was some kind of weird spiritual plane that was similar to that, but it wasn't the same thing.
Yeah.
Ezra straight up just walked into that temple.
As far as Anakin, for me, he was like Anakin. It was Force Ghost Anakin, but Force Ghosts don't look like we normally see them when they're in this place. In this place, they appear like as themselves. But when they appear in the real world, that's when they appear, Force.
That's why they have the blue glowy around them, because they're kind of projecting from this place.
They're projecting from from there to the real world. That's what the difference is. That's the way I interpret it.
Tony, that's an interesting take because go ahead, Marie.
What I got from it was that it was kind of like the dark side cave on Dagobah, where what you get out of it is only what you take with you. So she was taking with her, that preoccupation with like, what's my legacy, and what is my legacy going to be? And so she ends up in this manifestation of the world between worlds, and a manifestation of her own fears, which was, confronting Vader, or confronting Anakin to complete her training, but it's Vader who kind of completes it. And that's kind
of the cave was a legit place. She just falls off a cliff. My take on it
could be somewhere underneath that water that is very similar to the cave that we just don't know.
The lock that she falls into it. My take on it is that while we have Force ghosts, we have the cave and what you take into the Force, that this is a Force vision. That it's not World Between Worlds because she didn't go into any sort of portal as Ezra did. He's not a Force ghost because he's not with the blue glowy, although Tony brings up an interesting thing to think about, that the blue glowy only happens because you project from here to a real world, and that's where the blue glowiness comes around. But that it goes to all these different events, and it goes to young Ahsoka, and it goes to Anakin, you haven't learned everything yet or whatever, and he breaks the floor with a lightsaber, and all of these various things. It's not real. It's all in her head as she deals with the baggage of what she thinks, her leaving, and how that may have steered
Right.
Anakin
It's
to
not
become
real,
Vader.
and the
All
way
of that stuff.
the way that the Vader that Luke fought on the cave in Dagobah wasn't real, where he realizes that he's part of that, all of a sudden that he's part of that legacy in some way. He doesn't know the exact truth yet, but and there's a truth to be discovered for Ahsoka as well.
Yeah, the
Yeah, I mean,
character
Jason could hear it
development that
though.
is the
Jason
character.
could hear the lightsabers.
He
Yeah.
could hear it in the. I don't think he's hearing it with his ears so much as he's hearing it in the Force.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How Hera, I haven't quite squared that right. How Hera, she believes enough in Jason, or does she truly sort of hear it too? Is a little bit.
Well, it could be.
But I don't think it's.
If you go and listen to the waves, you can hear all sorts of things, can't you?
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
touche. Right, you can hear what you want to hear, and Jason through the Force is legitimately hearing it, but he's leading the witness and his mom by saying, I hear lightsabers clashing in the waves, and she, to the Chancellor's point, hears that same sort of, okay, yeah, I do hear lightsabers. Let's check this out. But the Hayden dialogue in this filler episode of well, it's hard to say that with a straight face, trying to be funny. His teachings to her about the monologue that he says about how or her concerns, I guess, more so about how, is that all I am? If what you're trying to tell me is all Padawan is what a master teaches him, and all I know from you, master, is how to be a warrior and how to fight and how to do all this sort of stuff or whatever, and look what you became, is that what's to become of me because that's all I know? Well, ew, wait, what? And he's like, no, you still haven't learned the lesson. Let's go again. That you're more, while you're all that I am and all that I've taught you, you're more than that too. That you can choose to fight. You're not just a warrior. Sure, I've trained you to be a warrior. Sure, I've trained you how to lead, but you can be more than that. You just have to fight to be more than that. You have to. There's so much in this filler episode.
Nothing.
You have to watch it a couple of times to wrap your head around what's being taught, what the character is learning of themselves, and what baggage they're dealing with, letting go, what she's had to hold on to, because now that she knows, because you watch that Rebels and when she learns that Vader or Anakin's still alive and it's this bad guy Vader, the thinking about how that plays on Ahsoka, because what she thought of that she left and what does she know of Anakin. Yeah, the character arc that is Ahsoka and her ties to Anakin that then becomes Vader is huge, because that's got to be a lot of baggage. That's got to be a Paris Hilton.
Well, and then we know from Mando that she was afraid to train Grogu because she thought that because of the way she is, that maybe somehow Grogu would turn bad. And I think that's probably what prompted her to walk away from Sabine initially, because she probably was saying things to Sabine where she wasn't listening and blah blah blah, and so she probably was trying to well, if I keep training her, she's gonna go bad because my legacy is my master went bad, and I'm probably not a good Jedi.
Well, yeah, that all I know is that's what we learn in this. That all I know is war and death. And my training. Anakin says, my master, when Obi-Wan taught me, we were keepers of the peace or whatever. But all Ahsoka knows is war and death and that leading people into battle type of thing. That right, she didn't
realize how he was at the time. So when she's watching this battle happening in the Clone Wars and she sees him walk away and sees him turn into Vader, she's like, why didn't I see this before? Like, how come I didn't notice that? The signs were all there and I was just oblivious to it.
Because she doesn't see him walk away. She walks away from it, but then hears about it later after the fact.
No, I mean in the scene, she sees him walk away and he turns into Vader.
The great flashes. Yeah. No, that was wonderful visuals, wasn't it? That was awesome stuff. And I also, if I saw Hayden, I would just full on thank him for coming back and portraying Anakin the way he did. I mean, he just
wearing the Clone Wars outfit,
enveloped it and embraced it, and obviously there's direction and character, but he's got his back turned to her like he did with Obi-Wan. If you're not with me, you're against me, and then he
takes out his saber the same way.
I mean, come on, that was goosebump. I got the chills just thinking about it and talking about it now. That kind of filler, I will take that filler every
It's the same
episode.
the same stance where he's like, you will try. It's the same, he did the same thing.
Yeah.
And I also like that line, the line about I won't fight you, and he's like, I've heard that before.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was some great great dialogue in this filler episode. That is
But then it's just
visual.
dialogued. That's the thing. It's just dialogued. It doesn't advance the story at all. It's just filler.
It does.
I'm just
The
thinking.
character,
The
wait,
whole
the
show is
character getting
Ahsoka's
developed.
character growth.
Yeah.
It's an Ahsoka
The
show.
character getting developed.
Not the Let's Get Thrown show.
This is
It's
what,
the Ahsoka
yeah,
show.
this is what gets Ahsoka. We get Ahsoka the White basically at the end of the episode. She's got
Yeah.
a smile on her face again. You know, it's like she kind of.
Yeah, she doesn't. I'm gonna say this,
She's-
but I don't know. She doesn't
she's
fold her arms
renewed.
at all. Or at the end of the episode, lots of.
Yeah, I
She
mean,
went into the water and basically got baptized and came out a new person.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and it definitely,
Go
it
watch
definitely does
the
affect.
episode again, Ryan. Right now. Go.
I watched 3.
I've watched
think
it 3
it
times. It is
definitely-
not filler.
It definitely does advance.
It has nostalgia, and Hayden Christensen did great. The best lightsaber fighting I've seen in decades is back
Did they
again.
not get the whales then go to the other place? Because that's not filler. That's progressing the story.
Yeah, the tiniest
It
step.
does. Yeah, it
That
does.
was like half
progress
the episode. Was
Yeah,
them
I'm on
going
the-
to-
I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence between fences on this. And I can see both sides, but there's no doubt that it does advance the story in terms of Ahsoka and her thoughts and stuff. I think I was going to say that Ryan could probably sum this episode up with six words, like this could have been an email, would have would have progressed things a whole lot quicker. But yeah, I know what you mean. I would in some ways I would have sooner that they just got up. It would have been more of the plot. Given that we only got 8 episodes, you kind of think, well, let's crack on with this storyline here a bit.
Yes, Ahsoka definitely woke up. That's why, in my interpretation, it's Anakin wasn't there. This was all in Ahsoka's mind, because you got to remember in the previous episode, Balin says, "We want to talk about your past," and she says, "No, we're not talking about my past." That's her problem. She has to talk about her past. She needs Force therapy. And it would be weird if this was Force Ghost Anakin, because he turns to Vader and attacks her. Like, Anakin should be ashamed of his past. He shouldn't be like, well, I'm going to turn to Vader to teach you a lesson so you can understand yourself. Like, no, you're ashamed. But if this is Ahsoka working through her trauma and like realizing that it's like, are you going to give up? Which that's the other weird thing in this filler episode. It's she at no point in the entire series has Ahsoka shown that she doesn't really want to try. You know, she's always been into it. So the choice that Anakin gives her to live or die, well, Ahsoka hasn't been choosing die. She didn't, no offense, but she didn't lock herself away in a cave for decades. Any 3 characters you wish to choose to point that out to. But like, she's been fighting the whole time. So
where was she during the original trilogy? She didn't lock herself away.
Yeah.
Where she left the order, she live or die. She left the order. She left him, and went on to run spice and stuff. She chose to.
No point. Ahsoka doesn't give up, and where he's like, live or die, and she's like, man, I've been living for like 9 years, dude. Like, that's such
But
a
she
weird
has like inner conflict though. She's had that since she showed up in Mando. That's why she didn't want to train Grogu.
Yeah.
Like this is her dealing with that. And now she's not going to be like. Maybe now she'll go like, I'll train Grogu. Like yeah, cool. You know, let's get the.
I think it also kind of refers to the beginning of the conversation with Anakin, where he tells her, "Yeah, you lost. You were in a fight. You lost."
Yeah.
And I think she lost because she wasn't fully committed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because then she duels Anakin here, and she basically beats Anakin, you know, to a point. So it just kind of speaks to the fact that, you know, she wasn't really committed. And this is what he's telling her, you know, you have the tools to beat these people. You know, you're just
and like,
you know,
the symbolism. She takes the red lightsaber out of his hand and throws it away. You know, so that's her like shedding, you know, this dark side.
Oh, that is great.
Stain,
Yeah, she does take it at the end.
She takes it out of his hand, like tosses it.
Takes it out of Anakin. You're right. Takes it out of Anakin's hands, and this, the visuals of the fog of war, the literal fog of war that we saw with the clones was a great piece to what was going on, and what was my thought there of the. Well, kind of the Vader piece that sees those flashes of what he's to become, and he says, there's a bit of dialogue in there somewhere where he says about you lack conviction, I think he said that before. Or he said that to someone else, but that he says that to Ahsoka. I think in this that you lack conviction. That
He
she's
says it to her after the war flashbacks, and he says it to her in the Vader tone. Do you notice that his voice flickers back and forth between the tones of
oh
Anakin?
yeah.
That's
Do you guys
massive.
remember? Do you guys remember there was talk before? I think it was before Rise of Skywalker, where they were toying with the idea of Anakin's Force Ghost coming back and it flickering in between Vader and him. Do you guys remember hearing that during the sequels?
Well, that's why it didn't happen. That's silly.
Yeah, that was the night. And watching this, I kind of like, yeah, that's kind of what they did here, but not. It wasn't a Force Ghost thing. But like when she gets there, he asks her like, "Do you remember what happened?" And she's like, "No." He's like, "Oh," and then she's like, "Wait, yeah, it wasn't a fight." He's like, "Okay, so there's hope for you, you know." So had she not remembered or had he not prompted her, she would have probably just died, you know. So he's giving her this whole thing is like a conflict between her giving up on, you know, I tried and failed, or her like wanting to go back and have that, you know, conviction to, like I still want to live so I can fulfill this, you know.
Young
Thing.
Ahsoka sees him walking away, and we see that flash of it. That's what it was. Sees that flash of Vader. That's why it's all in her head. That she knows him as Ahsoka and sees him charging off and leading clones, but and he was great at it, and she followed him and learned from him. But he turns into, you know, that's also Vader leading that charge and leading Rex and the clones and everything. That it's this conflict within her of what did he become? Because she says to him, right, that's you're more than that. You're more powerful and whatever than anybody thought could ever happen or whatever. And he's like, is that what this is about?
He's like, I'm more than that. Like, you're part of a legacy. And she's like,
and they start up fighting again. That was a great line of dialogue there.
And then when they do the battle for the Mandalorian, like he's like, I don't remember this battle. He's like, well, we had already parted by this time, you know. So this is all
that's
stuff
where that comes up. Yeah, she said
in her mind. So this is like stuff that Anakin wasn't even around. So yeah, this is kind of like it's this weird space where it is another plane, but it's also in her mind, you know.
It's experience.
Yeah.
Basically.
The thing, I've always felt like that the Force, you know, because there's never been like a real explanation. Well, I mean, like we always wondered, right? Like, how does Anakin become a Force ghost? It hasn't truly been answered yet. You know, the other ones kind of knew what to do and they sort of trained. They trained.
Yeah, there was a little bit of
prepared. Anakin just basically, you know, as far as we've seen to this point, you know, we haven't found out how he learned to do that or how.
I think he can just do whatever he wants.
Yeah, but my thing is always that the Force ghosts don't just appear, but that the person they appear to pulls them out of the Force. You know what I mean? So
he was surprised she was there.
He was,
you know,
who was
Anakin? He's like,
his dialogue is, "I'm surprised to see you so soon," or something like that. But that's when you're thinking it's a Force ghost.
She pulls him out. You know what I mean? Like the person kind of unconsciously pulls them out through the Force. You know, they sort of bring. Yeah, they bring the Force ghost
manifest them when it needs to. When they're
yeah, that's why a Force ghost. That's why people are like when but they only appear to people that they know that you can pull them out. That's why sometimes people are like, oh, you know, the Force ghost should appear to this person or that person. I'm like, well, they didn't know that person, you know, so how are they?
No,
you know,
I'm a big fan of that, or a proponent of that. That we can't have Force ghosts being instruction booklets and go, oh, why can't this Force ghost just go tell them all about X or teach them about Y?
It doesn't work that way. It's
it
like
doesn't.
The person pulls them out. You know, they bring them forward is the thing, you know, because there's a connection there. So that's kind of why here.
And Ahsoka has fallen from a crazy high cliff, you know, in the waters. That she's not at peace, but her body, you know, that she's in shock. She's in the cold water. She's whatever she can do, that she survived underwater all this time or whatever. But you know that her mind is in a different. It's her body. She's still alive, but she's in a very calm.
What's like Yoda in that chamber when he was in the water
or whatever. Yeah, that is her mind, her subconscious is really going deep and has this Force vision that manifests itself in what we see, so that they can tell us the story in this filler episode of what's going on in her head and what she's wrestling with and how she wrestles with it and how she chooses to wrestle with it at this point in time to continue on.
It's like 11 in Stranger Things when she's in the water tub and she's, you know, doing all these
Right.
psychic things. That's like, and Yoda had his battle with, his evil Yoda in Clone Wars, and he was in that tank, being suppressed. So she's in the water, basically.
Yeah.
I've posted a pic in the chat. I do the Star Wars card trader app, the tops, digital cards, whatever. And a long time ago, this is when she went, or I guess it's when it happened or whatever. But one of the there was a special series that Filoni did of Ahsoka cards that you could collect. I don't remember how, but one of them, there's a number of them with it, but one of them had a water motif. Ahsoka in this, you could tell it was she's in a water motif of sorts. And obviously it's been a thing that's been kicking around in Dave's mind of where she was and getting pulled out of Malachor, or how any of that wants to work, and all of that goes into what we're now seeing as he gets a chance to do it in a live action way of getting to this point, to getting her somewhere and helping to dive into the character arc and the character development and further the character's story in this filler episode by having her dispatched in a way that puts her in water and puts her in something like that, so we can see this Force vision, as I'm calling it, and what she gets from it. And as you say, that she fights Anakin and gets to the point where she's able to take the red lightsaber away from him and throw the red lightsaber away. That he's not Anakin is not defined by wielding that red lightsaber to Ahsoka. That she needs to get, that's the baggage she needs to let go of. That
She also,
he's more than that.
she just doesn't take it and throw it. She takes it and holds it, and you see the red reflection in her eyes.
Yes.
And she's not throwing it away for Anakin. She's throwing it away for herself, saying,
Right.
I'm not taking the path that you are, type of thing.
That you're more than that. I did have I had a very visceral and literal, when this episode starts and he says, choose live or die or whatever, and they're making Ahsoka fight Anakin. And for the briefest of just like Luke and Ben, for the briefest of moment, it flashed like past like a fleeting shadow, because I knew they wouldn't do it. But I had a moment of, oh my God, they're going to have to make her kill Anakin. That is going to be incredible to watch. And just know, I literally said out loud, no, thinking that's where this was going. But like I say, in the briefest of moments, just like Luke and Ben, in that briefest of moment, passing like a fleeting shadow, I realized that's not what's going to happen. There's no way I'm going to watch her, dispatch, even if it's not truly Anakin. I'm just not going to see that kind of thing or whatever. But there was a moment where I was just taken by what was happening on screen, because they were making Ahsoka fight Anakin, and how hard to see that character development live and in front of me taking place in this filler episode was very emotional and very visceral to watch, knowing all that what about this character and how much has been put into her. To see that and have that feeling was just a wow moment for art to make me feel like that. I'm watching people act and just all that goes, but to have art bring forth such an emotion, wonderfully powerful. Love that kind of filler.
I loved how his eyes changed. Like
it's vacillating back and forth. Yeah.
And at the end, when he looks up and he smiles, and his eyes are back to normal and he's not evil anymore.
Right. That Anakin smile, it's a Hayden thing, but that smile was, it's just a wonderful portrayal of Ahsoka, the character's take on what she knows and what she thinks, and who she knows Anakin is, or what she knows of Anakin.
I'm kind of glad they didn't go with the original Clone Wars outfit for her for the first battle when they did.
Yeah.
She was out of that quick in Clone Wars.
It was 2 seasons. She wasn't out of it quick.
Yeah, she was out. It was 2 seasons. Yeah.
Because I remember it wasn't
well, that battle is the Battle of Ryloth, right? That battle is
because it was that was Hera's dad in the background, probably.
I think that was the Battle of Ryloth. So she's well into it. I think she was portrayed a little younger than she would have been at that battle, but she's just her.
No, that was like the first couple episodes of Clone Wars.
Battle of Ryloth.
Yeah, that was like the first season.
That was the first season, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
With the Syndulas and that little girl with Numa. All right, well, I've watched a lot.
I don't know about that part, but with her and Anakin are there. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that's not I don't think that's the battle. I think some positive that was the Battle of Christosis or whatever, and I don't think it's that battle. I think it's Like I say, because there's Twi'leks in the background that I took it as the Battle of Ryloth,
Yeah.
where Hera
Yeah,
was from.
it's supposed to be Ryloth.
The walkers that are in there, obviously it's CG, but wow, is that CG good?
Yeah.
How did they do the walkers in the fog? I mean, just wow, CG is that good? Because I bought it. I'm like, man, how are they doing that? That really feels like that's a legit mechanical walker in the fog. I know obviously the fog makes things easier, but I think it would also make it harder lighting and shadows and whatever else. But all of those battle scenes with the
Didn't
guys,
that war just look awful? Like,
just everything in there looked
For a Star Wars battle.
It's just
everything was destroyed and on fire in the background. Like, wow, like.
And then you realize that like horrific, you come to the horrific realization that they were using child soldiers.
Yeah.
It's I mean, no wonder she's traumatized.
Well, and that's kind of covered in that Inquisitor book that me and Ryan read. Like, they're basically like talking about like, well, we're barely Jedi Knights and we're gonna go to war. Like, I thought we were supposed to be peacekeepers, you know.
Keepers of the peace, not soldiers. But nope, you're now soldiers. Welcome to life.
Welcome to boot camp. There you go. Here's the platoon.
Welcome to boot camp. Except it's not really because you're on the battlefield.
Yeah.
Hope you survive. Bye.
Yeah, that's crazy. I kind of when she. Oh, good.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, well, like when she's there lamenting about like, oh, like it was my fault, and you know, that they all died. Like I felt like that was in something else, like in Clone Wars, where she made that kind of same.
She's definitely echoed that sentiment before to Anakin, or that her choices got the clones killed, and
I remember there was one episode where she had like a fighter squadron and they all died, but
yeah, addressing the weight of that. That's the challenge of being a leader in war and all of that goes into what leaders have to, what weight they have to carry on their shoulders, type of thing. Is that the decisions were made. There's a line, is it this episode or the previous one? I think it's this one, right, where Anakin tells her that just because we're Jedi doesn't mean we're not going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
That sure, we're Jedis and we're leaders, but we're it doesn't mean we're not going to make mistakes.
Then she's like, well, when we make mistakes, people die. Yeah.
I thought these scenes were great for people who have never watched like the Clone Wars. You know what I mean? Because you hear, oh, this was Anakin's Padawan, how when or what? It's like, oh, it was on the animated series. But these scenes kind of like they don't need to watch it if they don't want to, because now you actually saw it in live action. So like for us, it's cool to see animated stuff in live action, but for the people who haven't seen any of that, it was good to see it, just at all. It kind of.
Did you guys watch that Massacre at
Spirit? The go and the sound design was all clone. It was all so reminiscent, so warm and fuzzy feeling. It didn't try to be anything different. Thankfully, I think too, because it was Filoni. But yeah, it didn't try to have its own interpretation or any of that sort of. It was just live action Clone Wars that we watched forever.
Yeah,
it was good to see.
And how weird is it that Hayden Christensen made himself sound like Matt Lanter?
No, it was. It was fun.
Yeah, the way he was talking, he's like joking. He's like,
and the walking, he does the. I mean, obviously he studied and all that, but he did the walking back, walking away from her backwards, still talk. Hey, I'm joking, or what do you want me to be? Yeah, it was very well directed, very well done.
He's like, do you want me to be more serious? Is that what you want?
and what the visuals of what's being seen. There's even a scene in there. I remember seeing young Ahsoka fold her arms. And it never bothered. It was never a thing, or I never even noticed it in a million years in the animation thing or whatever. But you saw, it just seemed a lot of brooding, and early on in the first episodes of all this, that to see the young Ahsoka, she did something or whatever, and then goes and folds her arms. I'm like, well, all right, she apparently did do that a lot. We just never cared or noticed.
Yeah, she did it in Clone Wars a lot.
You see, everybody goes on and on. We did get naked Ahsoka, because didn't they pull her out of the water? She's not naked, but she pulled her out of the water and. When do we see her head without her whatever?
Well, when she's waking up.
Headphones she has. Is that what? I remember thinking something that was weird. I didn't pick up on it at the moment that that thing is not on her head at that point. I remember looking at it going, oh, that looks weird. That's a bad close up.
Like they didn't finish her makeup or something.
Yeah, it's like we don't need close ups of her. That it's looking weird. But then looking back on it, realize the headphones.
It changed every season.
Is all.
Yeah, her little headdress thing.
Her hairline.
The thing that masks the real world.
It's like seeing LeBron James without his headband. Yeah, I don't know. It was great. I loved everything about this episode. I watched, like I said, I've watched it 3 times now.
We do get right the sort of, for whatever reason, she's wearing the white. I guess she's trying to stay warm, whatever, or her clothes, I guess, are in the dryer, right? As why she's wearing the Ahsoka the white.
Or you're signifying death and birth and purification and all of that, good stuff, because, wading in the water, the baptism, whatever.
Yeah. So the filler is right, is those story motifs and those common tropes of, right, the baptism, the cleansing, the white, the robes, of shedding the past, casting off the past of old things, and going with this new Ahsoka the White type of thing.
So this brings up the question, like, now that she's officially Ahsoka the White, the scene that we see at the end of Rebels, is that different from the first episode that we seen in this Ahsoka series? Because remember, she doesn't have the staff, she's wearing gray, she says, "Hey, you ready?" But then in Rebels, she's wearing white and has a staff. So it almost makes me wonder if we're going to see that scene again, but more accurate from Rebels, now with Ahsoka the White.
I threw a log on the fire at the camp, because I was in that camp, they were different scenes, and kind of sort of started started pulling up tent stakes in that camp, because I'm like, all right, they just repurposed it. But seeing this Ahsoka the White, and because of the staff, to me the biggest thing was everything else could be redone, but why the heck wouldn't she have her staff? There's just no real world reason. But now seeing this Ahsoka the White, yep, I threw a couple logs back on the fire. It was still smoldering, it was still hot enough, and got some flame going, because I'm now back over in that camp.
How cool was it seeing those Purgles light up in live action?
We haven't gotten to that, right? Yeah. The going to talk to the Purgle, and who is it? The X-wing pilot. Hera says, or no, he says, "Oh, we're in trouble. They're here." Hera says, "Well, don't let them interrupt what's going on or whatever." And he's like, "How?" And she's like, "Go figure it out." And he's like, "Well." So he's up there stalling. He's like,
I need to speak to General Hux.
He's like, yeah. He's stalling. He's like, well, no, it's classified. It's like, no, tell me what's going on. It's like, well, no, I don't want to. He's just going back.
Like, who is this?
Like, fine, I'm gonna tell you, but you're not gonna believe me. That was a fun scene. It just was. It was a fun scene for him to be up there going, all right, you're just not gonna. I'm gonna give you what's going down and why I'm up here stalling like I am, but you're just not gonna believe what you're about to see. And somewhere there was another line. Somebody said, one of the captains, somebody says, "Let's get out of their way. Let's get the fleet out of their path or out of their way." And
he told them to get. You might want to get out of their way.
He says that, but I think the captain of the ship does realize what's going on, and she says, "All right, move the ships out of the
evasive maneuvers." Yeah.
And I don't really think they moved their ships out of the way, because we see the whales flying through. I'm like, I thought she gave an order to get them out of the way. What's going on?
Like, take evasive maneuvers, and they kind of just sit there.
Yeah, they do sit there. They're like, how are we going to take evasive maneuvers with these whales?
They were already upon them, I guess.
So now the whale, where they were in story and in myth, and I heard my grandfather tell the story of these. There are now that many more people that have witnessed with their own eyes the Purgill, and with their own eyes the Purgill's ability, this creature, this live creature's ability to jump into hyperspace. Whereas before it was just in story. There's now a whole bunch of people. Even Huang, well, no, he kind of did know about it, right? Because
he knew about it, but he never seen them.
Yeah. Oh, he's never seen them, so he knew the stories. But now he's got visual record of they exist.
When he was shut down, he was like, he woke back up. He's like, oh, well, there used to be, stories of, this, and they're like, yeah, we know, we were there.
Yeah, what a just wonderful visual. And we do neat to see a live creature, a flesh and blood creature, if you will, able to jump, move and jump to hyperspace. There was a neat scene. I guess it's the big one that they're trying to see, or the one that I don't know why she picks the one out, but it reminded me of, I'm going to date myself here, but Flash Gordon. In the Flash Gordon movie with the Queen soundtrack or whatever, there's a terrible sci-fi effect of the ship emerging from the clouds. It's just an awful sci-fi effect for the year that movie's
made. It's been so long since I watched
that. Where it's got like a spear and it's coming out of the cloud base really, really slowly. And there was a scene in here, I think it's with the big whale that she goes to talk to, that kind of emerges like that. It evoked that for me really, really quick of emerging very, very slowly from the cloud. poking its nose out, going to
And
talk to.
we do see a change in the Ahsoka at the end because she's like, Huang's like, well, this is gonna work, right? And she's like, I don't know. He's like, well, just go, you know.
Let's just go into the mouth of the Leviathan. It'll all be fine.
But how we
And
talk
she's,
about
like,
storytelling
smiling and
tropes. She's
laughing.
literally going into the belly of the whale, right? What is
Yeah.
that, Jonah's
Yeah.
Whale? You
Jonah's
know,
Whale,
just a classic storytelling thing, visualized, portrayed, and a part of, you know, Star Wars is just taking all of those things and spun them on their head or retold them to us over the time. That, yay, that they literally found a way to incorporate, you know, into the belly of the whale and coming out on the, you know, we're going to see that next episode, but coming out on the other side. I was taken aback, curious, I don't know what it was, but that the whale had baleen. They have the true whales have that kind of teeth, there's those hair comb bristling brush type of thing that filter the krill out or whatever, and the space whales have it too. And it's just like, what are the space whales eating that they have baleen or have whatever that's called? I thought they fed on
Well, they light up like the
on a
hyperspace
gas or
thing, too.
something.
Yeah.
Well, you
Like
got-
fiber optic.
They eat gas, don't they?
Yeah, I thought they that was
Maybe-
one of the Ezra episodes, right? You realized they were
Maybe that baleen is there to filter out birds.
filter what they need to get to
Yeah.
the good gas.
So it'd still be that they have to filter all those sorts of stuff because all they want is the gas,
Yeah.
whatever you must eat. And then it's like, okay, so they'd still use the same thing. They're just filtering out.
Yeah. You don't want to pick up a
birds
satellite or a ship or anything.
What
Yeah.
is it called again? What they were looking for in Solo. God, what was it called? Coaxium. Maybe it's the coaxium or something that they feed on.
Well,
it's
you're mining for coaxium.
Right.
They were in that one planet where they were in the whatever and swimming through it and getting the gas, and the bad guys were like, shoot those things, we need, you know, they wanted to get, they're eating into our
Is
profits.
it like Tabana gas?
literally.
Like
Yeah, I want to
Big
say that,
Cloud
but that's because that's the only kind of gas I know in the
Yeah.
Star Wars unit. I don't think it was Hispanic gas.
Coaxium or Tabana gas, one or the other.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's either of those in that episode. It was another type of gas that they were mining for, that they needed to turn into fuel for the Empire.
Yeah.
And they go to space.
Yes, it was
Anyway,
like Tabantha. Yeah, it was like Tabantha gas. So, but yeah.
it was the same sort of concept and why things like that existed. But anyway, it was a neat way of getting Ezra to communicate with the whales and how why the whales existed and what they did, why they were migrating from from galaxy to galaxy. Yeah. Yeah, this filler episode has all kinds of great story going.
That's not story. Those are visuals. Those are all visuals that you.
Visuals.
The story is Ahsoka woke up. All it is, I'm
I'm going to rethink that and watch it again. Yeah, to see where the story was at the beginning and to see where it is at the end of this 52. I looked it up, of this 52-minute episode, this 52-minute filler episode, to see if it got nowhere, if it's not advanced at all. Ahsoka White.
I mean, I'll
Ahsoka
take this over
White
50
is-
minutes of people walking around the woods looking at a map.
Yeah, I don't think you watched. Did you watch Rebel? Is it Rebels or Clone? It's Clone Wars. Which one has the one everybody goes to, which was the tainted Kool-Aid or the tainted tea at the school or whatever? That
was Clone Wars.
Clone Wars. That's a filler episode. Go watch that. That's a legit filler episode where they were rescuing.
Yeah, that kind of showed the corruption in the Republic, though. You know.
There's always something to it. Filler, something fans put into it. But to call it a filler episode, I've been tongue in cheek this whole time with you, Ryan. But yeah, to call it, I'm going to be serious now. To call it a filler episode would mean you could take this one out of the eight episode season, and it has no effect, and that's why it's not a filler episode, because it does have a major effect to if you go from chapter 4, episode whatever they are, from 4 to 6. You'd be like, what the hell happened in 5? Oh, that was a filler. You don't need to see. No, I think you do. Ahsoka the White at the end. I mean, there's definitely started somewhere and ended somewhere.
You can easily do that. She's just wearing a different shirt. They're like, oh, okay.
She's not a different character. She's not legit. Seriously, right? She's not a different character at the end of
We
this
don't know
episode.
that yet. We only seen a little bit of her, haven't we? So we don't know how much she's changed as a result of this.
That's still made clear at the end of the episode that her character.
She's more jovial and more,
Well, we haven't seen her get.
She
her
hasn't
pop
folded
yet,
her
have we?
arms. So she is a different character. I still need to watch it because I'm staying this and I don't know if it's true.
I think she does.
I don't think. I'm sure she would probably fold her arm because it's Ahsoka.
Yeah, she's smirking and smiling and
I'm sure she folds her arms, but
I'm gonna
Hu
bet
Yang does that
find-
really slow head turn when she's like, I don't know where we're going, and he's like, okay.
she's gonna find
Yeah.
that staff in
Yeah.
the other universe, isn't she? That is.
She's gonna take it from Thrawn. and
oh
kill him.
yeah, finds it in the
We've
other
got to
universe.
speculate about what's happening next. Next episode, we actually
I've
get
got
meat,
no idea.
get to the meat of things. We actually are going to be where we've been waiting to get to for the last 4 episodes, weren't we? Where we knew it was always going to end up. Sorry,
Let's go around the room. Do you think we see Thrawn in the next episode?
I don't think we see Thrawn until the last episode, honestly. Like,
Yeah,
I don't think
it's
it's
6. I think we see him in 7 and 8.
I think this is all setting up a movie with Thrawn. So.
Well, he's definitely in this. Not that the trailer means we're going to see him, but he's definitely in this. We see him, and we have to. The characters have been talking about him all this time. There has to be something out. But I think he's in 7 and 8. I think next episode will be them trying to figure out where they are and how to find him now that they made it. Both of them now that they made it there.
Does this
and they end? He might be at the end.
Does it end with Ahsoka not getting there because she doesn't know where the whales are going?
Yeah, she gets there.
No, though, I mean, and that's the thing. You get to this other galaxy, and how do you pick a planet? You know, they just like, okay, this planet, we'll start looking here.
Well, it's like anything in Star Wars. You land anywhere on the planet, and that's where the city is.
Yeah. But no, Ryan brings up a good point. Yay, the whales got him to the other galaxy, but then, okay, what do they know? What do they have map-wise, or what are they? Yeah, where the heck are they going?
One thing I saw on this episode, and I was like hoping Steven would be fist pumping in the air. Hera is the best parker in the galaxy. She parked right there. She didn't walk across like miles to get to the spot she wanted to.
Yeah, true. No, yes.
She literally parked right next to the stone thing.
Yeah. Because we had it in this episode.
Oh yeah.
She start the episode.
She parked in the forest, but no, this one she parked in the right.
Yeah, she parked right there.
Doesn't care how old the structure is. She's parking on it.
Yep.
Yeah, touche. The jet blast, the jet wash, and the repulsor lift wash, and everything else. It doesn't matter. This is some.
I'm trying to think. We had this. So we had it at start of Rogue One, but that was what started it all off. But there was another example of this, wasn't there? And someone else recently in Star Wars where they parked.
Mandalorian, they always did that too. They parked.
Yeah, Mandalorian parked miles away, didn't it? Yeah.
Oh, Rogue One is where we started with that.
Yeah.
Comes in with the ship, and there's the house and everything, but he parks a mile and a half away, giving him plenty of time to set up and walks across this huge field. It's like, what are we doing? Go park that thing on. He didn't want to get a scratch, I guess. I don't. Yeah, that was an odd. Needed to happen for the story and get that visual and get shoot. I'm going to say Hera. No, what's her name? What's the wife's name that shoots him? Shoots Krennic.
Lyra.
Hey.
Lyra.
Lyra. I was getting close. I didn't give her an L.
Lyra or something.
Lyra.
That was probably one of the worst bits of foreshadowing in the whole episode, in the whole film, wasn't it? It's like, she said, you stay away, and then the next minute she's there, I'm gonna start shooting, I'm gonna kill you. I thought this is not gonna end well. We should do a Rogue One revisited episode as well at some point. But yeah, I do always wonder, because every time I'm watching any other if you're watching something fiction or non-fiction, they're flying around. They always say, where should we set her down then? And I don't know what pilot says, yeah, over there. What? Right away over there. Yeah, we've got to set her down there. We can't park anywhere else. It's not safe. I don't know. I don't know what pilot would suggest parking a mile away. I don't know.
Yeah, so I'm thinking the next episode is more of a explore the planet looking for Ezra and them, and also remember we still got to have a bunch of information on whatever is going to happen with Hera, so that's going to be explored just to try to drag the Thrawn. So it's Thrawn may have like an appearance at the very end of 6. I think that's the earliest we see him. Other than that, it's you got to find him, you got to talk to him, got to get Ezra, and then you got to bring him back or something in the final episode.
I had that same thought, Ryan. They're right. If he does show, he might show in 6, right at that end teaser, kind of like the stinger, like Hayden showed up as Anakin in episode 4 or whatever. That right. He might be in 6, but it's just going to be all right. They found him, and then we're going to see what happens. He'll be in there in earnest 7 and 8.
So who do we see first, Ezra or Thrawn?
Thrawn.
I don't think we see Ezra at all.
Thrawn's got to be Thrawn, isn't it? It's just going to be Ezra then, isn't
Ezra back too?
No,
Dude,
I
how
mean,
about at the
especially
end
if
of
we're gonna get that
Ahsoka's-
scene, like you said, like if she comes back and said, "Let's go get Ezra," like that means they can't get Ezra.
Oh, right. She's more focused and she comes back chasing Thrawn, knowing where Ezra is or whatever, and has to go back to the Lothal because that's where everybody is, and goes to says, "Let's go." Although in that scene in Rebels, I don't think there's any dialogue. Because when
No,
you
it was the voiceover.
Was there?
yeah, when you compare
No,
the
it was
two,
it was the voiceover. There's no
Yeah, Sabine
dialogue.
was talking.
And I think and the thing is that the voiceover it's said in a way where you kind of figure things out, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that's when it takes place.
Right.
So it
Hmm.
could we just assumed that what we already saw that's that scene and they changed it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that. And if you guys are saying that Ezra doesn't even get found in this season, then then there's definitely a chance that
I don't
scene
think-
plays again.
at the end, right at the end of Ahsoka, that a Thrawn's back. Let's go. I know where he is now. I know now
Yeah.
how to find him. Let's go find him. But yeah, there's no dialogue in the animated scene, and the comparing to the live action scene. She says, "I'm ready." That's that's not there. But yeah, I like the idea of playing
I wonder-
again. They say, "Let's go
Do we
find him."
think? Do we think Ezra's going to be a prisoner of Thrawn, or just going to be?
They're gonna be-
They're going to be two different places. One got to
Did they take?
find Ezra.
Did the whales just take the one ship Thrawn and Ezra on, or did they took his whole fleet, right?
Oh, I can't remember now.
No,
I
it
know,
was
obviously
just the
they
one.
took
It
the
was
one-
just the one.
Just
ship.
the one ship. So right, Ezra is
One broken ship.
he's got no ally. They're far away. He's got no allies, and he was surrounded by troopers at that point, and that's why he needed the Purgy and all. So right, why would we think Ezra wouldn't be anything but a prisoner of some
Because
sort?
Ezra took out the other troopers that were on there, and then the whales were kind of choking Thrawn and tentacles.
Well, yeah,
was going
more troopers came. They got overwhelmed basically.
Well,
I
just
just
the
feel like-
troopers that were on the bridge,
On
right?
the
But,
Chimera,
the rest of the rest of the ship had personnel, I would imagine.
Yeah.
I
So
just
yeah,
feel like for 10 years, he's not going to be concerned with him being prisoner. Like Thrawn is smarter than that, where they can explore the planet together, and it gives someone for Thrawn to talk to because all he wants to do is tell how smart he is.
learn.
That's
yeah.
his character. But like,
Yeah,
I just
have
You
lunch.
don't
They
think
probably
he's
have
gonna be
lunch
explaining
together
it to like a
and everything like
volleyball? Like
Yeah.
this is art from this.
yeah, I think to me, especially after finishing, because I finished that Thrawn series, and I just don't see Thrawn as like a big baddie. Like I just don't see him ready to return to the galaxy to crush everybody. Like I don't see it. He's gonna be trying to get along with Ezra, even if it's like they're like, okay, we're still kind of
Well,
enemies.
Ryan, you said in that book that that chamber that Ezra ends up almost walking into was a trap, right? That he had aboard that ship.
Yeah, but that was in the final episode of Rebels. That's what because
It
I
was
did.
on the and it was on the ship. So
Well, then it was destroyed also.
the
blew
ship
it up.
wasn't though.
Yeah, but the temple that was moved brick by brick, as Palpatine said, was completely destroyed.
I don't remember.
Because remember he was flashing between young and old, wrinkly Palpatine.
Yeah.
Like that whole thing was destroyed. But Thrawn's gonna need help exploring this area, and it just makes sense that after 9 or 10 years, they're going to just. I mean, Thrawn got along with Vader. I mean, he's willing to work together to accomplish goals.
Well, Ezra got along with Maul too, so
Yeah, wants to learn or would be willing to learn from. You talk about the temple being destroyed. Like when I build with my nephew out of building blocks a temple and then we destroy it, we can build it back up the exact same way.
But it wasn't the temple though. He just told him
what-
that it was that box
Yeah.
that is in the book. It was a prison box basically that looked like the
No, 'cause
temple.
he
He wanted him to pass through the
He
force
wanted him
field.
to do something to go through it to get him back into the world between worlds. He wanted him to reach his parents through or whatever to go. So I think he wanted
That
him
was
to
a trick though.
open
It was
up-
like, from what Ryan said in that book. It was basically going to be a Jedi prison for Ezra. He wanted to capture him and put him in there. So once he walked through that door, he would have just been trapped.
It was just going to be a lot. It was going to be a Mission Impossible clear acrylic box case so that you're trapped
Yeah.
in. Type.
Because he sees his parents in
Okay,
some
I thought-
other reality that didn't happen. Because his parents are like, "Oh, hey, Ezra," whatever.
But even in the book, Palpatine says, I want Ezra to join me, pretty much in that basic sense. So it's like he's trying to use it against him to get him to like follow your family, join me, I'll give you more power. Same thing that he did with Anakin. He's trying again with Ezra, but Ezra didn't fall for it this time because he knew that it was a trick, and he's just like, no, that's not going to work.
Like, Ezra was just stopping Thrawn in this galaxy. Thrawn was a threat in this galaxy, so he just needed to stop him in that moment. They took off. They've obviously been stranded in the other galaxy. They neither one of them has figured out a way to get back. So
wouldn't they both be outcast in the other galaxy? Right? They might have to.
I
to
think
stay alive
no one,
in the other galaxy
yeah,
because no one knows.
I don't think either one had like any ties to that galaxy. So
Right,
I think
why-
they're just out there, and they've just probably become, like, well, your fight is over, my fight is over. We're out here
Enemy,
stranded together, so
I think we're stranded together. Let's figure this out. Although
yeah.
it's not like Thrawn needs Ezra. He's got a whole capital
let's-
ship, a whole bunch of people.
Let's join forces and conquer this galaxy together. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So
Could be that. Yeah, that remains. Yeah, fun part remains to be seen.
yeah,
that's just.
But I mean,
I know I've said lots of times that Thrawn really doesn't interest me. I think his character is very shallow, but it's like he just doesn't seem like a big bad. The book explores his feelings better, and the books were not very interesting because it's just a guy monologuing to stupid people for hundreds of pages. But
Who
it's
is a
like,
big bad then?
who what?
To compare him to, take Vader off the board. What other big bad would you want to compare him to say he's not like X? He's not like the spider guy that became a cyborg.
I've heard the same thing. I haven't read the books like Ryan has, but I've heard the same thing that he's saying, that Thrawn's kind of portrayed differently in the books, and I feel like from what we're seeing at the moment, it's almost like there's a contradiction. As far as Thrawn's concerned, there's a contradiction between like Legends Thrawn and then canon Thrawn, and
either canon book.
It seems like
he hasn't done anything on screen yet or whatever. The only thing we know of Thrawn is our main characters fear the heck out of him.
Well, I mean, I'm reading Heir to the Empire right now, and he hasn't really done anything in that book. I'm like halfway through.
Hera doesn't want him back. Hera's seen the war, seen all that he can do. So that's the big bad that those main characters are telling us he's the big. We haven't seen it.
In the original Heir to the Empire books, he was just basically like the bad Imperial at that time. You know what I mean? He was no pun intended. He was the heir to the Empire, but there was nothing about him at that time about him just doing it all for the chiss, or any of that stuff. Like he was just committed to the Empire, as far as I remember.
He's a true believer.
To say
he's a true believer in the Empire, so he wanted to continue the Empire at that point. That's why, hence the heir to the Empire thing. But
to say he's not the big bad is. He's as big a bad as anybody else. If you take Vader off the table, if you will, that he's a Grand Admiral. He commands respect, has done his share of good things and strategy and all of the stuff that makes him a Grand Admiral and good at war. If what's her name doesn't kill Kanan by blowing up the fuel reserves, his program still thrives on the planet and could have been something, but she screws him basically by trying to kill the Jedi. She blows up the fuel reserves, and that halts, and that messes him up, and he couldn't possibly have predicted the Purrgil. So to say he's ineffective and inept as the big bad, and what has he really done? He's done a lot. He
wasn't.
He's not going to be. He's not a Force guy. So he's like, why is he a bigger bad than Grand Moff Tarkin?
Well, he's a filler villain.
Is Tarkin more of a baddie than Thrawn?
Yeah, I think so.
Because he ordered the destruction of the planet.
Well, no, Tarkin is just as waffling. He took over the Death Star. He was a political guy. He moved up. He did some stuff. Like Tarkin isn't. Tarkin is just Tarkin. He wants power. Thrawn isn't like that. Thrawn is a deeper character. Like Palpatine is a villain. Marchion Ro is a villain. Thrawn in the books by his creator, Timothy Zahn, is not written like Dave Filoni writes them. So much like how you refer to, I wonder how people see, Thrawn without watching Rebels and Clone Wars. Well, it's the same thing with seeing Thrawn without reading the canon books or even the Legends books. Like, Thrawn is in it to rule the galaxy. He's only there to study the Empire, make it strong to help the Chiss Empire battle the Grisk. That is a huge threat to the Chiss Empire. None
of that's on screen. I don't know any of that. I'm
none of that's on Rebels.
I don't know any of this. I know he's Chiss just because I know it, but I don't even think we know that from on screen. But
I don't think they've even said Chiss on Rebels.
Is on screen at all. So we don't know any of that. We just know he's Grand Admiral Thrawn, a high up dude, kind of like, why do we fear Grand Moff Tarkin? We feel Grand Moff Tarkin, or I feel Grand Admiral Thrawn like I feel Grand Moff Tarkin, just because he's high up in the Empire and has.
And he's gonna bring it back,
power and if he wants to try to bring it back, that could be bad. He's got a lot of influence. Everybody, bad guys are hunting him, good guys are hunting him. He's a bad dude, and I don't want him in the universe because I want my good guys to, live peacefully and happily ever after.
I just don't see Thrawn wanting to return and be the seat of power in the galaxy. He is deeper than that. He's not just, I want to be strong. He's not Hux. He is deeper than that. Like, there's more to him than just being powerful. And I just don't see Thrawn as any type of wanting to be a galaxy threat.
Well, Hux wanting power makes him a scarier big bad than Thrawn not wanting, seemingly not wanting the power. Hux didn't threaten me at all, or didn't feel threatening necessarily, because of his whininess and whatever. But well, that's why we get to episode 6, 7, and 8 of Ahsoka, that we get to discuss them during our next sentence.
Yes. Steven's getting a phone call now.
Is that me? Sounds like me. Am I here? Yeah, excellent. Yes, we do have to wrap it up, and we all got lives to get back to, so to speak. But thank you, everybody. But I did ask a question at the start, which I just about remembering, which was, if anybody can remember, how many X-Wings joined Hera as they went to investigate
3.
Elspeth and the
4.
Eye of Sion.
I had my guess at 6, and we lost. But it's either 6 or 5, because we lost 2 of them when they went for the hyperspace ring. They crashed into each other because there's only 3 looking for Ahsoka. So that's either 5, but then 5 didn't seem like a squadron. So my initial guess was 6, but I'm thinking it's 5.
We did lose 2 apparently.
We lost 2.
By what it says.
6.
This page might actually be completely wrong, but it does say 2 were destroyed, which I remember, but I don't remember.
I saw that. They crashed into each other. I didn't quite understand
exactly
why they did shoot the eye. Why they were like, we got to stop that hyperspace ring. Oh, it's about ready to take off. Shoot it. Why did they shoot it?
Well,
anyway.
I'll tell you the answer. Oh, does anybody want to everybody give me a number then? Ron?
6.
Marie?
6.
Tony? Tony's gone. Ricky?
99.
You're muted.
You're just blaming me now. Ryan?
4 or 5.
4
I
or
said
5.
3.
2 numbers.
I said 3. I was muted. Sorry.
Oh, that's right. It's like I want to be. Well, according to this webpage, it was 5.
Okay.
But we'll have to watch it again and work out whether that's actually true or not. But yeah, that is the end of the episode. Our emergency set talking about Ahsoka. And so we're going to say goodbye from everybody this time around. So it's goodbye from Ron.
Hey, absolutely fantastic Senate. Cheers, everyone. Stay safe out there.
Goodbye from Marie.
Had a great time. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye from Tony.
Great chat, everyone, as usual. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and see you next time.
Goodbye from Ricky.
Bye-bye.
And it's goodbye from Ryan the Finner Fields.
I have to go fill it up my stomach.
Absolutely. And we shall see you again next time round. May the force be with you.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Be sure to follow us online. We're at Facebook at PSW Senate. Join our PSW Star Wars Facebook group, where we all are in there interacting. You can find us on Twitter at PSW Senate. On Instagram, we're at PSW Senate Podcast. And on TikTok, we're at PSW Senate Podcast. We look forward to hearing from you.
The Force will be with you, always.
Technically, I've been reading the book as well. I bet Ryan has as well. So technically, we have been doing other Ahsoka stuff. Other Star Wars stuff.
Not for the special Senate with all the Ahsoka that we have to go over. Holy
3 episodes.
Yeah, that's like 30 minutes. It'll be a short episode today. Very much.
No,
I'll just go ahead and mute my microphone now if you want it to be short.
there's no such thing.
I've got my cards here.
Before Ricky gets on, when you said it's going to be an exciting Senate, I'm like, oh yeah, it's going to be exciting. Because I haven't talked about it at all yet. Because I've been saving it for this. And I know it's going to drive Ricky crazy. So, whatever. I'm just waiting for this thing to start.
You haven't talked with friends, people, or you just not chatted or anything online type of talk about it?
Yeah, not even in the group. I only mentioned a couple things, but other than that, I've been trying to just hold back on it. So.
Yeah, sure.
Because I knew we were doing it, so I'm like, well, I don't want to get rid of all our big conversations, and it's like, oh yeah, we already talked about that. So it's like, well, we'll save all the reactions for the show.
Yeah,
see what you're going to ruffle his feathers about.
I've written essentially hundreds of words on the way that Hayden Christensen plays Anakin, and that means I might have a little bit to say about that, but I can't remember exactly what I've said, but it'll come up.
Yeah.
But I've been holding back in the group. I mean, other than my treatise on Andor the other day.
Well, I always got to talk about Andor because Ricky's always talking about Andor. Like, you just can't wait for him to when he pops on.
Is anybody going to bring up Batman? That's what I want to know. That's gonna go. It's gonna happen at some point. I can see it now. We should put a little bingo card here.
Radio this until he does the
Andor. I suddenly shout out bingo during the episode.
So we have 3 episodes to discuss. Episodes 3, 4, and 5.
Yes.
Okay.
4 and 6 is
and my homework at all.
Yeah.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, yeah.
5.
There's only. I thought there was 9. There's only 8. I bet.
There's
only. Why did I think there were 10?
Hope.
Yeah, I thought I had 8 because when we got to 4, I'm like, holy, we're halfway through.
Yeah, we are. By the time we come back next time, it will all be over.
Oh, that's disappointing.
which is a little bit why we were having the special Senate session, right? So that we
Yeah.
could dissect the goodness that is.
Are we going to push back the next one then? Because
Probably. You said you were unavailable on the first, didn't you?
Well, I prefer to be unavailable just to watch the weird, funny.
The one where they call it football, but they're not actually playing with football. That one.
Well, it's a simulcast type of thing. It uses CGI toy characters with like Buzz and stuff like that commenting on it. I was like, this is silly.
Oh wait, what are they're doing that again for some game?
Yeah, there's some game in London October 1st. I don't really watch football, but two people are playing.
Okay.
But I seen a Disney ad that was like, "Oh, simulcasting live on Disney and Hulu, Disney Plus
They
and
did it
Hulu."
for hockey. I was gonna say, they did this already? But yeah, they did it for hockey. It was for kids, entertaining. It was for what it was good.
Yeah, I was like, well, if they're gonna have a football game, and I don't know exactly what to expect, but I'm kind of expecting for it to be a live football game, but with, I don't know, somehow AI turned to CG, so they're all like characters in Andy's room. I don't know if that's what it is. Maybe
They
like
somehow avatar the players. Somehow they got a beacon on their helmet or something, so they know where they're at, and they do the same motions and all that sort of stuff. And like I say, for hockey, which is very fluid and it was that, and it was impressive how well football is going to be a little different. I think it'd be interesting to see how it's handled, but. Like I say, for what it was for the kids, for the hockey thing, it was entertaining. When they went to a fight or something, the silly announcers, went off and talked about something else in some fashion. It was, I'll watch it. I'll spy in on. I won't watch the whole thing, but I'll spy in on it if they're doing that again, just to be.
Like, if we're gonna have a call, I'll be there and I'll watch it later, type of thing. It'll push it back to I guess the 8th if we wait for all episodes of Ahsoka.
Yeah, that'd be just straight after the last one. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's interesting. You do the first and get all hyped about the last one, but then we don't talk about it for a month. Or right, do it on the 8th after it's wrapped and.
I think it'd be the 5th. Wait, no, yeah, we got this week 1, 2, 3, and then the 8th. Okay, yeah, that would be the final is October 4th. For those that watch on Wednesday.
Wednesday. We're talking about
Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday now. I thought it came out on Thursday. I hate the middle of the week releases, honestly. I'm like, I'm going to spend my Friday night watching Star Wars, but that's been my entire life. So
I will say, getting hyped about Tuesday night, is a little weird, but it is what it is, and it's 9:00 for me, so it is. Man, I settle into my easy chair, crack my favorite New York style pizza, and just settle in and watch me some Star Wars. So, I'm a happy camper.
I'm in bed. It's 9:00. It's time in bed.
For me, it's 6:00, and it's literally when I get home from work, so I always have to wait an hour.
Yeah, I can see that being a weird time.
Yeah, because I get off at 5:30. It's a short-ish commute, so like at 6:00, I'm getting here, running in to feed the cat, and then going to feed myself.
All right, we got it.
I like that. Feed the cat first. You got them the right way around.
Oh, God forbid that I feed myself.
Yeah.
Probably kill it.
Oh,
yeah.
with me. I'm sorry. Our fur babies, I purposefully make sure. So we got, what do we have? Jeez, 3 cats and a dog. Yeah, they definitely know that I am the one with the opposable thumb and the bigger brain. They will wait until I am damn good and ready and get their food. But mommy comes down and gets, pays them attention right away, kind of thing. And we got one cat that loves to jump on top of the lid of the box for the cat food, and I just stare at him and go, all right, well, this isn't happening until you get that down off of there. So get down off of there. And he just looks at me, and we just sit there and wait it out until he finally jumps down, trying to see if he ever wants to learn that, jumping up here just delays your time to food. Let's go. Don't do that.
Well, I've never seen any photos of your cats, Ron. You're gonna have to send some photos in there. You haven't called them like Luke, Leia, and
because I got an all white one that's Wampa. Well, but that's not her real. But that's what I call her. And then we have Earl Fonte. He was named for Efont Man. And then the other one's Bash. My original
cat. Your cat into a tournament once.
Yeah, Boo Boo. That poor kid.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, where he's all fighting for your cat.
He was in the pram. He was in Grogu's pram. I bought pram online, a cat box pram online. My wife looking at
scared
the
him.
cats are never going to get in that. And I'm like, yes, they are. So I don't like she'll ever listen, but don't tell her. So I laced it with catnip. Sprinkled some catnip under the pillow section or whatever when they were, kind of thing, whatever. And eventually they found it and hung out and wanted to say, I caught a picture
I was
of
like,
it.
choose the pram or die.
Sent it to her and said, look, the cats like the pram. But yeah, it's soft-sided and it collapses. It needs a little bit of rigidity. It doesn't really hold up too well, the top part of it. But yeah, I've caught all the cats in it. They just don't hang out in it like I wish they would.
Brian went to the unknown regions, I think.
Oh no, he had another call. He did this earlier.
Has he gone to another call?
Oh, look at that little guy. Little Mancoon action going on.
There's my boy. Oh, he's magnificent. Magnificent.
All right, let's try this again. Jeez.
You had another call.
Ryan's phone's blowing up.
It is. Like, all the kids are calling me, and I was like, you guys never call me. You're going to call me right now?
Are you going to put it on Do Not Disturb?
Well, it's still called through.
Well, not unless you turn that, say you're not going to take the calls. I think you turn.
I let all calls through in case I get called out for work. So, but
you told them that you love us more than them, right?
Well, I took the call, didn't I? Sorry.
Yeah, you took the call, but you got to make it quick because.
Yeah, that's it. I'm on a call. What do you want? Okay, I'll see you in about 2 hours. All right, love you, bye. And I was like, go.
And they're like, Dad, oh, you don't love us anymore.
Leave me alone. Yes. Right. So I've got the wiki up for Ahsoka, and I said there's nothing incorrect in it. So before I let's try and get these pronunciations right. So Huyang. Yeah, I'm not that stupid. So it's Huyang, isn't it? Huyang.
Yeah.
Huyang, right? Marok, we know that. Elsbeth.
Yes.
Elsbeth. And what's the really cute dark Jedi called? Hattie.
Shin Hattie. She's the Hattie. Shin
Hattie. As it looks, Hattie, but not with an I. Hattie.
Pronounced Ha.
Ha? Hattie.
Yeah. Hattie.
Hattie. She's. I'll tell you what.
Hattie.
Down boy.
Not that.
Oh, God, she's got a face like she's constipated, but it is so alluring, I have to say.
He has resting dark Jedi face.
Oh.
So she has RBF, Ricky. Resting dark Jedi face, RBF.
I guess it's too early for acronyms, John.
I think that's the only words that I'm going to just read them through.
I was rewatching. Like, it must be hard to just make that face like the whole episode. Her eyes must like be in pain.
Ricky, I don't know if you were here when he asked what we've been doing Star Wars, and we're all just answering we watch Ahsoka and get on with it.
I was gonna say I was watching the Batman.
Bingo.
I was going to say Andor.
Bingo.
Watch something good, Ricky.
It was Batman Day yesterday. I didn't watch anything Batman.
I haven't seen Batman since. Well, actually, I can't remember which last Batman I saw.
Well, I haven't seen it since the Nolan movies. So.
Opening script.
Okay. Everybody's ready? Yeah. Let's crack on.
Do I sound okay? I feel like I'm really loud.
No, you sound all right to me. I can actually hear you this time, so it's good for me.
You sound
really loud in my headphones.
Yeah, you do. Your level is louder than normal, but you're okay. You're not overmodulated or anything like that.
Good.
But it does. Yeah, it does.
I can hear my snare in my headphones.
Yeah.
It's good for me because you usually are quite quiet, so I can actually hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not blowing anything out. I think it's good.
Yeah.
Oh, bad 97X. The future of rock and roll.
The future rock and roll.
Okay. Hang on. 3, 2, 1. Let's go for it.